Shora! Hello, welcome to the very first session of Strange Seeds, the very first live play of the Unwritten RPG, the official RPG of the Myst universe and the Diniverse. My name is Veronica Hamilton. Most people call me V, um, and I am the primary developer of Unwritten. And I'm looking forward to showing interesting um, a very interesting game, uh, a long-term chronicle for Unwritten, and played with a number of people who are very enthusiastic about the game. Um, I'll start off by saying that um, I'm very nervous. I've done a lot of games, but this is a big one for me, and so I apologize ahead of time for any weird nerves things that go on. Um, But I'd like to go ahead and have everybody introduce themselves. So we're gonna talk to our players here. Let's start with Thomas.
Hey, so I'm Thomas. Some of you may know me by different names. I've been in the Myst community as a observer for a little bit. Been playing the game since 96, 97, somewhere right around there. And been doing Unwritten for a few years now. And yeah.
Cool. Thank you. Okay, Q.
Hey, I'm Quaxo. I've been in the Myst community since early 2000s, I guess. And I guess my second play of Unwritten, I'm really excited.
Sounds great. Okie doke. Pharaoh.
Hi, I'm Faroguy, Pharaoh for short. I first played Myst in '94 on my friend's Mac and was privileged to be one of the testers for Unwritten and have enjoyed it very much ever since. Super excited to be here.
Great. Thank you. Lana.
Hey, I'm Alana, she, her. I'm a little bit newer to Myst community. I think my first real steps into the community were at Mysterium a couple summers ago, and then I came back again for the virtual Mysterium last summer and participated in the Unwritten one-shot that happened then. But Myst has been in my blood for as long as I can remember. And right now I'm also involved with the Myst documentary, which I'm kind of repping here. I'm sort of their tech girl doing the web development for the documentary.
Great. Yeah, I actually didn't know that about the Myst documentary, so thanks for mentioning that.
Okay.
Okay, and last but not least, Cappella.
Hey there, I'm Cappella, they, them. I've been in the Myst fan community since 2003, and probably most people know me as having been on the Mysterium committee since 2012. And I, like Pharaoh, I was one of the initial testers for Unwritten. Thank you so much, V. So I'm absolutely delighted to be back here for a live play.
Great. Thank you very much. I also want to give a shout out to my brilliant and lovely wife, Ellery, who is managing the chat room right now, and without whom none of this would have ever happened. She's the one who essentially kicked me in the behind to actually get something done. So, while I did a lot of the writing, the main reason that Unwritten exists is because Ellery thought it should. So, big hand to Ellery, of course. So let's go ahead and I want to introduce the setting. This particular game is an apocryphal game, which means that we'll be going to areas that are definitely out of canon. We'll be exploring ideas that you're not going to see in any Myst game or book, and there are some twists that may take us into some very interesting places. Um, this is set in Denis history, before the fall, just before the fall of Denis. So all of our players are actual Denis, in Denis society at its height or its you know worst part, depending if you believe Yeesh or not. Um, and what has happened is that all of our characters are members of a special project inspired by the Guild of Writers to put together a cross-discipline, cross-guild team for inspecting new ages. Of course, the Maintainers does this, but there's a reformer in the Guild of Writers with a bit of sway who's decided that he wants there to be this sort of pilot program to see if it could be done better. And as you might imagine, um, the traditionalists among the Denis are not particularly enthused about the idea. So this group has just gotten together. They've just gotten to know one another. They haven't gone their first official um, mission yet, but they've been given a base. They've been a base of operations. They've been given some basic equipment. Um, the base of operations is nearby the pellet silo, um, and it's not in very good repair. It's just that sort of thing. Um, it's just like, oh yeah, we'll put them over there. So I'd like to go ahead and have everybody discuss. Oh, and there's a cat behind me. Of course there is. We'll assume that's a squee and move on.
Yeah.
But we're gonna have everybody introduce their characters, describe what guild they're from, what they look like, and then we'll start the game proper. So let's go in reverse order from what we did before. So let's start with Cappella. Tell us about Celia.
So Leah is from the Guild of Surveyors. She's I described it as kind of the major guild equivalent of the Novo Rich. So her family has only recently been elevated from the minor guilds to the major guilds. And so she's one of those bright-eyed, bushy-tailed people. You know those people who you look at them and no matter what time of day it is, no matter what they actually look like, they look like they're vibrating as though they have just consumed 3 Red Bulls and they're like this. That's Solia. It doesn't matter that she's in her guild uniform with, her hair pulled back. She's got her dunny goggles on. She's got a tool belt, hanging from her waist. She's probably got another couple bags strapped to her back, and she's vibrating like she's on caffeine.
Awesome. Okie doke. Let's go next to Ilana. Tell us about Tome.
Sure. So I don't think that Tome really has a strong guild affiliation of her own, but she is the daughter of two parents who are both guild masters in the Guild of Archivists. She herself is around, I think, 14 or 15 years old, and she does not see eye to eye with her parents. They are a pretty wealthy, powerful family, and they have a lot of expectations on her as their heir. And so she sort of has this rebellious side and is currently running away. And she is in search of a place where she feels that she belongs. And she's adopted and she's trying to figure out a little bit more about her past.
Sounds great. Okie doke. Okay, Pharaoh. Let's talk about Mashavan.
So Mashavan is a low-level member of the Guild of Engineers. Just your typical journeyman doing his designing and research and whatever he has to do. He's fairly generic as far as appearances go. Your typical slightly tall, slightly pale, slightly bearded Denis. uh, his one interesting trait is that he has green eyes as opposed to whatever the normal Denis is. I assume brown.
Mm.
He signed up for this project in a sort of on a whim, but also out of a desire to not be the low guy on the totem pole. And so he is here just for something different, but not too exciting.
We'll see how that goes.
Hmm.
Okie doke. Okay, Q, let's hear about Kenneth.
All right, so Kenneth is your typical bored rich kid, and she happens to be in the Guild of Caterers, which she thinks is lame and boring, but it's her guild, so she works really hard at being awesome just because she can. But she's a total adrenaline junkie. She probably started by, skinny dipping in the cavern and like moved on to like cliff jumping and etc. So she likes to live on the edge, and she's hoping that this group is going to just get her out of the boring life that is cavern and doing something new and different. Oh yeah, she has like really ridiculously long, kind of sandy brown hair, and she's lanky and possibly a little more muscular than people might expect, just because of all her random activities.
Sounds good. Okay, Thomas, let's hear about Laundress.
Yeah, Laundress. So Laundress is from a family who has been in the Guild of Maintainers as long as you could really probably trace back. Always really, really great people who have done great things, except for Laundress. He's kind of that resident screw up of the family, bringing shame to everybody, kind of messing up. So he's that right around 25-year-old bracket, if you equated it to human years, where he is just hitting that wall of adulthood and realizing he's not as smart as he thinks he is. Used to be a lot cockier until he made some kind of mistake and got in a severe amount of trouble with the guild. And so now he's working on this project, and he looks at it as the only way he can regain any sort of actual respectful demeanor from anybody anymore. So he takes this project very seriously, and maybe just a little bit too tightly wound because of that. But he's from the Guild of Maintainers. He's always rocking his proper maintainer uniform, unless they're going directly into an age, in which case, he's going to dress a little bit more appropriate for the weather. But he's kind of a no fun, no mess around kind of a guy, because he's just neurotic about everything, because everything has to be perfect. This is his one shot back. So
sounds good. Okie doke. So we're gonna start with everyone having gathered at their new digs, their the base provided by the maintainers. The maintainers is in charge of outfitting this particular group, even though it is a cross guild group. And they have provided the very basics for and a sort of dilapidated um, building. So why don't we start off with you guys? Why don't you guys talk about a little bit about how you are setting up your new base here? What sort of things are you putting together? What sort of things are you setting up?
So I definitely find a convenient corner to just set up a little workshop and lab right off the bat. Like I claim that space. Thank you very much.
Sounds good.
Can I ask you to divert water from one corner so we could get a decent cook fire going? Might as well bake bread.
Sure. Give me like 10 minutes to set up here, and then I can get water wherever you want, probably.
Yeah, you actually have a lot of really good access to water here, because you're not only not like lake water, but you actually have some good access to the systems to the cavern's plumbing here. There seems to be a lot of plumbing that goes through here, as if at one point it used to be a place where they would handle junctions and that sort of thing, where the plumbers and plumbers from the maintainers would come in to adjust things. So
Okay. So Leah,
Mhm.
and a couple boxes of equipment. Because of that stunt she has about the specialized tools, I'm imagining that she's for those of you who aren't familiar with Fate stunts, Celia has a tool about access to fine surveyors tools. So the Surveyors Guild, for those of you guys who don't know, they do a lot of the charting and mapping along with the Guild of Cartographers. So she's very reckless, as I mentioned before, but she really wants to get this done right. So she's like also kind of over prepared. Did she show up with, the Dunny equivalents of, and here's a small portable X-ray device, and here's a ground sonar mapping tool, and here's a tiny mass spectrometer? She absolutely did. Is she bringing every single one of those small portable tools in here? Yes. Is she going to try to set them up in another corner? Yes. Ms. Chauvin, as an engineer, may or may not be interested in coming to look at these, or he may be like, what the hell are you doing?
Mashavan would probably want to upgrade them.
Honestly, if he wants to upgrade them, they may be able to become friends over that.
There
But
you
she's
go.
definitely bustling in with tools, because if she's assigned here, she's going to make this work, and they're going to have good equipment.
Cool.
Okay, so now that Solia and Mashaban have both claimed corners, Tome is definitely gonna have to claim a third corner before we run out of corners.
We can say that there are a couple levels if you like as well.
Okay.
That's true.
It's
Corner-
Duddy. Everything's in 5, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it could
That's
be
true.
pentagonal,
Good point. Good point.
and it
because
could be
we-
multi-layered, like Kadish's gallery.
Absolutely. You guys get to kind of decide some of the shape of this, so feel free to, if you think, it'd be really cool to have, something over there, then, let's put that out there right now.
Sure. So Tome was actually, I don't think I introduced this as part of the character, but she has actually been living in this basement for maybe a couple of weeks now. This is just where she ended up when she ran away, and she has her stuff kind of scattered everywhere. And so I think her first priority, when this whole group arrives and she decides that she wants to kind of throw in her lot with theirs, is basically just to, she's very embarrassed. She just wants to get all her stuff into the corner, just kind of tidy up a little bit. And she's probably been like sleeping on a few blankets that she found, and she is going to try to turn her corner into like a slightly more respectable living space. It's like she almost expects someone is going to reprimand her any day now.
If it is multi-leveled, there's probably now suddenly I'm thinking of like one of the guild pubs from Uru with the alcoves, or with the corners. If there might be a nice little nest area on one of the upper levels.
Sure.
If she wanted something like that,
Ooh.
because Dunny architecture does have a lot of alcoves, and then she could find somewhere like that that's a little more privacy than just sleeping right in an open spot, right?
Makes sense.
No,
And it will offer her sandwich.
Awesome.
Friends with
What's
their food.
Landris doing?
Landers is kind of sitting there with his little blank linking books and the stuff to do that with per his resource. And he's very specifically not going to a corner, because a corner is shadowy and very easy to take these things that are so valuable from. So he's setting them up, very, very nicely, getting them all locked in the little cabinet and stuff, because they're blank books and actual ink and actual quills for doing like actual linking books. And so he's being very meticulous about making sure nothing happens to any of the books. Nobody gets any water on them. Nobody gets them anywhere close to a fire, or the weird oil coming off of the engineer's stuff over there, or all the like grease from the food getting cooked over there. And he's setting it up. Everything has, your vegetables have grease. It's okay. But anyway,
You don't want chicken nugget juice on them.
yeah, we don't want chicken nugget juice on our linking book. It's going to mess up the symbol.
Yeah. Exactly.
So he's being very meticulous. Probably not the fanciest of little cabinets, because
We don't write
it's
that.
not the fanciest of little offices. but it's one of those you could probably pop a screwdriver in and get in there, but it at least makes him feel better.
Mood.
Poor guy.
Okie doke. I don't know if there's you guys just have been setting up. Kenneth's been making food and handing out sandwiches. Celia and Mashavin are you know looking over all the devices, that sort of thing.
Mhm.
Any other specific things that you want to do to kind of make this place home?
Well, so are we actually like living here? Is this like a thing where we have like a little bunk room for everybody to sleep here, or do we have homes we go to at the end of the day?
You tell me. What do
I
you
guess
think?
you're right.
I mean, Tomei's been living here, but do you think this is gonna be like a like a firehouse where there's like local, you're setting up local places to sleep, or is it just just the office, the workshop? What do you guys think?
I
That's okay.
feel like it's a workshop and we go home.
Uh-huh.
I agree with the caveat that if necessary, it'd be nice to have a place to crash for those who might be accidentally working longer than they should.
That's not a bad point, actually. setting up a corner where we could put down a corner, another alcove where we could put down a couple temporary camp cots. And that's not a bad idea too, because we're likely to have temporary camp cots to take into the ages.
Mhm.
So setting them up so that we can either crash on them here and then stow them for packing. But the question is, are we smart enough to remember to set them up now? Or is it
Well,
you'll remember to do that in 3 days when you're coming off a 72-hour research vendor?
well, so to go along with that, we could also have like some basic first aid supplies in case somebody gets
That's
injured,
good.
and it's sort of like a makeshift medical area too.
Oh,
So,
yeah. A cot, some
'cause-
first aid supplies.
Yeah.
There's probably a chemical shower. We probably want to set up something like
Yes.
that.
I mean, we got a couple engineers. There's definitely a chemical shower of some sort that doesn't
Yes.
use treadfish water. So
Yeah, so maybe when Celia's done setting up things like the portable analyzing tools, she'll go to start helping set up that too. Because I feel like the surveyors probably have a lot of experience with that, given that, especially in Bocatiana, they mentioned that industrial accidents are not uncommon for surveyors.
yes.
So I'm actually going to go with that. Makes sense that she's going to help set up that.
Landris is going to mark another little check off in his book.
He's
So-
got the policies, procedures,
He's
and
got
protocols.
the OSHA. Yeah, he's got the OSHA check guideline.
Does Dunny have OSHA? Have you seen?
Yeah, remember the
Like-
the Dunny?
Well, yeah. OSHA is clearly where the Reltos came from.
Now, I know the Dunny of Veru is 250 years later and at its worst with crumbling, but there are still some places where I'm not sure there were ever safety railings.
If it's hard to use, then it should be you should be punished for not knowing how to use it. That's one of the Dunny principles. Is,
That's fair.
know,
That's the truth.
if you don't know how to use it and you hurt yourself, it's your own fault. Okay, so at this point, there's a loud pounding on the front door.
What do you want?
But Landris is probably
Open.
going to scatter over there because he thinks it's boss.
Open up! So, Landris, you go and open the door?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
it's
as a
more.
matter of fact, who's there is actually Telon, who's your maintainer's liaison for this project.
Yeah.
Older Denis, definitely, somewhat, he was rugged at one point, but has gotten a little bit older, so he's not, he's kind of lost his edge there. Sort of scowly. And the few times that you've talked to him before, he's definitely not made any secret that he's not impressed by the group.
Yeah. So, of course, he's like making sure there's like no ink spots, no lint. That he's trying to look as best as he can.
Yeah, he's got a couple maintainers with him who are, who've got like dollies, with boxes and stuff. Like,
You said his name was Tellin?
Helen, yeah.
Great,
Laundress.
more stuff.
Master Tellin?
So, are you getting settled in here?
Yes, most assuredly, Master. We have everybody getting their various equipment and accoutrements settled and sorted and organized. Of course, according to code, sir, Master.
Mhm.
At this point, Mishavan yells to Kenneth, "Hey, where did you want that water routed?"
Away from here.
All right, I'll just
Do
rig
you
something up.
mind? Are you going to invite me in, Laundress, or what?
Of course, Master. And he's just like he looks incredibly just ashamedly bashed, like just embarrassed as he, goes, holds open the door and gestures and
He waves at the people behind him to bring in the stuff with him. So yeah, Tellin walks in, kind of looks around.
They have boxes. So Lee appears over a railing to see what the boxes are.
Oh yeah, just they've got a couple boxes on dollies that they're kind of like stacking up in up against the wall in a free space. But Talon's walking around, looks at things, kind of does the runs his hand on it, looks for the dust, looks at the dust sort of thing. It's like, so, Laundress, those supplies that we gave you for leaking books. You've done what with them?
he'll run over to the sort of cabinet that's very poorly locked, given what materials they have. They're right in here. They're perfectly secured. I am the only person with the key. Nobody can get in here, as far as I am aware.
He kind of pokes at it and is like, mm-hmm. Okay. Looks around, is like, so your whole group is here?
As far as I'm aware, we only number in 5. So unless somebody else has been added without any proper information, not
5?
saying that I would ever accuse you of misinforming us, Master.
5.
We're all here.
There are 4 guildsmen assigned to this project. Who's this 5th person?
Oh, yeah, I'm. I guess I'm the intern. I guess. I definitely just showed up here today, and
you were
just
sent by who?
Oh, this is just like one of those sort of like school projects. I'm just in between terms and getting some real life experience.
And which guild is schooling you?
Well, this group is.
The Minor Guild of Artists. Celia calls.
Artist. That's going to be very useful exploring ages. Mm-hmm. You're gonna sculpt. You're gonna sculpt representations of everything you see.
Yeah, something like that.
Surely, Master, given the lack of a representative from the Guild of Cartographers, an artist, while objective in nature, could provide a more adequate mapping resource for a group such as this. And perhaps that is what they were contemplating when they sent this individual to us.
I have good writing skills, so I'm going to be taking very, very thorough notes on all of our discoveries and our findings. I'll just be documenting everything, just kind of my hobby.
Yeah.
Okay. It's gonna be up to you 4 to make sure that she has the appropriate equipment. I'm not gonna be sparing much more equipment for a 5th person. Though.
Understood, sir.
Understood, Master.
I'll scrape up what I can, but
no problem.
She's your responsibility and not mine. Do you understand that?
Understood,
Our
Master.
intern, our responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. She screws up. It's your problem. They'll probably Diddy wouldn't say something like that. Yeah. Denis probably would like use swear words that are based off of like book stuff. She tears up, it's your problem.
She breaks the spine.
Exactly. So we've got some base. We did bring some things here, so that we do. The maintainers does supply this mission as required. Turns around, it's like we've got some general supplies, but specifically what I've got here. He goes over and pulls it and like clears off one of the tables. Just shoves things over. Not enough to like scatter things, but definitely like I don't care what's here. We have your allotment of communicators. The new communicators that we have been passing out. These particular ones are prototypes. So don't break them. There's only 4 in there, but there's some replacement parts. So maybe you can put together a 5th. Maybe
That's no
the
problem.
engineer can figure that out.
Yep. I worked on this thing.
Oh,
At least a part of it.
well, good. At least you'll be useful for something. So, we are the orders for this particular mission should be coming down later today, and we'll be providing the appropriate books that you'll be exploring, as well as appropriate return linking books. We'll send those by messenger later today, by secure messenger. Those are actual linking books with actual ages behind them, and so I expect that they'll be taken care of. Correct?
Most assuredly, Master.
Mm-hmm. We'll make certain. Definitely make sure. Kind of looks around. And then he turns around and just walks out. And the maintainers, take their dollies and.
Don't let the
So
door hit you on the way out.
So yeah, so you've got several, boxes of with maintainer symbols on them, and with also the one box that he put on the table. Who's gonna dig through them?
Well, I'll take.
Andrews is going to noticeably like.
So
Liam
I'll take
looks
the
over
box
it.
on the table with the communicators and start poking at parts and such.
Sure. So yeah, the
That makes
communicators are
sense.
the what as people will know as the communicators from Uru. They're about yay big. They're on the back. They have the D number 2 written on the back of them. Which is, as an engineer, you would know kind of odd because the newest versions are the 3rd version that are coming out soon, and those are going to be distributed soon. But you seem to have been given,
The older second prototype.
the version
Last
2.
year's model. Last
So-
century's model.
So, while you have these communicators, they'll all have the aspect unreliable.
Mm-hmm.
So there are 4 communicators in whole. One of the other boxes has replacement parts. And you think you probably could put together a 5th one out of those replacement parts. Means that you'll not have very many replacement parts left, but
The one he built might be more reliable than the ones they sent us with.
Right.
okay.
So yeah, I would like to do that. Put it together.
Sure. Let's just do a quick roll on that versus your engineering. This is old stuff. It's it's not in the best repair. Some of the things don't quite match. Like, oh, this is for this doesn't fit. This is from version 1. Sort of thing.
Right. Okay.
Okie doke. Go ahead and give me a roll. Add your engineering.
First roll of the game.
Woo!
I got a plus, minus, and 2 blanks, and my engineering is 4, so a total of +4.
So a total of
Mm.
+4. That puts you against a 4 difficulty. That puts you, pretty much at 0. So that's a tie.
Okay.
I mean, do you want to see if you can up that somehow with an aspect, or are you good with it seems to
Let's
work.
see.
I mean, all the other ones are unreliable. So
Like,
Yeah, this
fair.
one could have extremely unreliable as an
So,
aspect.
I will invoke my aspect, always do my best, even when I don't agree. So
Mhm.
I really don't agree that we should have these ones, or that I should be needing to make another one, because we should have stuff for everybody, but I'm
Okay.
gonna do my darndest to do it right.
Okay. Are you? That's one fate point.
Yep, that is one
You're
fate
down to
point.
2, and are you going to get to take the plus to give you in a fair, or are you gonna do a reroll?
I think I will just take the +2.
Okay. So you managed to put this together and a little bit. In fact, you think that this one actually looks relatively solid. So you've got one that doesn't have the unreliable aspect. So this one's like, hey, yeah, that's a good one. I think. That doesn't. It leaves you without, like I said, without very many parts for repair.
Mhm.
But hopefully you won't be you know destroying them too often. Okie doke. Any other things that you might want to set up before, that characters might want to set up before other things occur?
the Landris would like to go around to all the different maintainers boxes that they just brought
Yeah.
in and like
So
take
we
a quick
won't-
inventory, like jot things down in his book, like what they brought, what they might be used for, if they match up with anything like he might know.
Mhm.
So
I mean, it's sort of a mishmash of things. There's supplies of medical supplies. There's field rations. There's various tools. None of them quite match each other. Like this is like a matching tool set. It's sort of like people said, oh, someone's gonna need this and threw it in a box.
you got the left boot of an EV suit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he's gonna
Agreed.
try and interpret this the best he can and get them to the people who will best know what to do with them. So like obviously anything that's rations, food, boiled vegetables that may have gone a little rancid but are good enough. We're sending those right over to Knet. Knet. There we go.
Yeah.
Things that look like they might be good for art supplies. We're gonna send this over to Toma.
None of
And
it's
just
broken, and none of it's
right.
like the food isn't spoiled, but none of it's
It's like they
very none of it matches, and none of it's like really high quality. It was just sort of
We got like weird MREs.
yeah,
they grabbed the box that was destined for Goodwill and just shuffled it over here.
yeah, pretty much. The MREs are the one, the field rations are the ones that no one likes because they're like the Denis version of Brussels sprouts.
Oh no, it's the bean and cheese one.
Yeah,
Oh
exactly.
crap.
That sort of thing.
And that's all it is. It's like these are going right in the garbage. I mean, I would, but we could use them. But I'm kind of insulted that they would send rations when they have a perfectly good cook along. Kind of insulted. Also, filtering lots of water into whatever we have for containers, just because we don't know where we're going.
Storing
And,
potables.
trying to make some of the food more to go and stuff that'll last. But yeah, very insulted by rations.
Okay.
I think Toma is going to squirrel away some of the rations just in case she needs them overnight in the future. Maybe some of the rations that other people aren't as excited about. And she's also curious to understand these communicator devices a little bit better. Am I correct in assuming that they're also locator devices that they
They do have coordinate systems. on them. So essentially, stuff that keys do, they do as well.
Right.
Maybe not as well.
Okay, yeah, they do also.
Right. So I think something that Tome wants to know before just kind of accepting this new device and putting it on is whether there would be any way for an outside party to find out her location through the device, whether it broadcasts her signal anywhere.
I don't know. The engineer would have to answer that.
So maybe she would ask, she'd ask Mishavan, how secure are these devices? Is it telling me my location, or is it telling other Denny my location as well?
Well, I mean, it has the location has to be known by some central place, so that way it can tell where you are, right? So based on where the Great Zero is, it can tell you where you are. So something at the Great Zero knows where you are. But I could, so yes.
But if they don't know your number is attached to you, they just know
Right.
It's not
Right.
an easy thing to
your
do.
device. They know where your device is, but they don't know who's attached to the device, right?
Exactly.
Right, this is prototype 2, not prototype 3. Yeah.
Yeah, and so
I haven't got into that fancy stuff yet.
So we
is-
probably have to put all of our device ID numbers into a group anyway, so that we can actually talk to each other. So that's
Mhm.
probably something we should be working on getting done,
Oh yeah, I will totally do that.
is
Yeah.
creating the equivalent of a group chat.
Hmm
Yes.
Some of the keys stick, so you can't. Can't type them
It
all
doesn't
in.
have multi-touch yet. You have to use an actual like wooden stylus.
Oh my god.
Yes.
Honestly,
it would be stone.
Definitely. so.
Nara.
Mhm.
Yeah, true.
Chopstick.
Nara.
They wouldn't have given you the
Uh,
Nara ones. Those are the fancy ones.
Yeah,
Oh.
no, we'd have just gotten
Flint.
regular. We gotta break off part of our wall over here.
What is this? Stone knives and bearskins?
Yeah.
But
Um,
in terms of if there, like I said, if there's, we'll if there are things that you guys want to get done that'll take a chunk of time, feel free to suggest those now. We're kind of doing we can kind of fast forward into the next bit of interesting.
Okay.
So just, if there are things you're doing, is there anything exceptional besides, just setting your stuff up?
generally, if there's anything that needs to be fixed,
Mhm.
like leaky pipes, for instance, Mishavan would want to take care of that.
Sure.
And then after that, if there isn't anything else, he wanders around asking if anyone needs any help.
Sure. Yeah, there are lots of little things. Just the place hasn't been, well maintained for a while. Nothing, astounding or critical, but yeah, it's enough to keep you busy for a bit.
Hmm
I think Celia would sit down and have a quick chat with Toma. Since she helped quickly come up with the cover story about the Guild of Artists, she would just sit down and be like, "Hey, so sorry for just dropping that one on you.
Mhm.
If it helps, my family used to be a Guild of Artists family. So if you want, I can like help you fake some of that. But I think you had really good answers for him. I mean, I guess Ladris was right. We don't have a cartographer to do the formal maps, so I was assuming I'd have to do a lot of that as the surveyor. But if you want to help me with the mapping and the note taking, that would be great. And I might be able to get my family to help cover.
Yeah, thanks for taking me under your
This
wing. I don't want to be a burden on anyone here. I have to admit, I don't really have any crafting skills, but I would definitely be interested in learning some cartography, and I can just kind of be our group's informal archivist if that works for everyone. And I'm happy to do whatever odd jobs you all need. And officially, I can be the intern. I think I'm just really looking for a place to stay and be safe. But I want to make myself useful.
Okay. Any other little things or?
So Landris would like to kind of take a look at the blank books and the ink and stuff, because now that he knows, like, oh, first job's tonight, it's like we don't want to screw up. It's got to go perfect. It's our first time out. We got to prove this wasn't a mistake. And so he's going to kind of sit down with like his survival guide and kind of see about maybe making a preemptive linking book back to the office.
Oh, that's a good point.
Because while they said they were actual linking books with actual like ages behind them, I didn't recall hearing anything about a linking book back to Dunny, which means Landris is like, we're going to make sure if they have one and we don't need it, that is great. But I don't want to be the guy who's just like, oh, sorry. I know you gave me this book I was supposed to read and do other linking books with, and I just didn't, thinking you would provide me things. So he's not going to be that guy. So he's off in the corner trying to, figure this out and get something to link back to the office here.
Or they might give us a...
Oh, just quick. Why don't you describe Landris's book that he's using to make them?
So he would use whatever kind of generic linking book.
Well, I'm talking about your guidebook.
So I've got my survival guide, which is my go-to, has all the information I can need in it for like making these things. It's going to have like example Gara of tea, the hey, here's how you finish it, that kind of stuff. Maybe some example phrases like because we don't know what other ages we're going to, but maybe there are some specifically for like the Book of Earth to get us a linking book back to Dunny. And since they link back to where they wrote, they should go there. So he's just got his little like guild of maintainers. It's got his name on it. He may or may not have put it on there himself because he was trying to be a little cool. But because he's young, he's dumb, he's stupid. But yeah, he's just kind of doing he wants to be the cool guy. He screwed up so bad and wants to be the cool guy so hard, but is realizing he is totally not the cool guy.
Cool.
But he's gonna dang try. And if it's first job, it's like first day on the job, he's gonna be bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, all loaded up with caffeine. And here is our linking book, sir or ma'am.
So there are two over-caffeinated, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed people in this room right now.
Yes.
Dear God.
More like I guess neurotic might be better than caffeinated, but
so Cap,
still.
You were saying something before I interrupted you. I apologize.
Oh, I was just going to go with the other horrifying possibility is you said we're out in the pellet zone. So that's not part of Agora, obviously, the main the main capital island part of the city. So I'm thinking, or they give us a linking book back, but probably most of the Guild of Maintainers standard linking books are going to link back to the Maintainers complex on Agora. So that means that, okay, they give us a linking book back to Dunny. So we link back to the Maintainers complex in Agora. And then depending on if these older Ds, which are not keys, even work with the Nexus, we either have to go to the Nexus and then find something out here towards the pellet zone and link back, or every time we have to take the ferry back out here to then walk back to the pellet complex. That's a pain in the ass. So I'd really, really, really much rather have your linking book right back here to our workstation. Because imagine if we had like a 2-hour commute every day. Ugh.
Yeah.
Well, I'm focusing on one because I want to make sure it works first. Because if I start doing it 5 times or something like that, and I'm just and then none of them work.
Well, right, but I mean,
I'd rather waste one book than 5.
Yeah,
to our new age, then that's still just easier. Than...
Hopefully, they're not trying to maroon us out on some age.
Oh God, I hadn't even thought about that.
It's like, here's some books, have fun, kids.
So
just stand there and wait for us to like. It's like, but you didn't give us a linking book, and they're just like, I got it.
So yeah, following your survival guide instructions and such, you do make a working linking book that takes you back to your office here. Probably middle of the office, I guess, is where you're writing things.
Sure. Yes, we'll do that. I'll look up at a chandelier while I do it too.
There you go, and it'll spin around. And...
Yeah. Well, I'll be stuck in it. Yeah.
Bring me the pages. So, okay. Any last things?
Can we just clarify? Is this basement that we're in on its own island? I kind of want to know where it is in the cavern now.
It's in God, I can't remember how to pronounce it. It starts with a K, but it's an industrial district actually, in one of the caves off of the main cavern.
Okay.
Kefin, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
Also,
So,
the older name is the Uron. So Uron. Um,
so Jen and I could get between the residential areas, around the walls of the cavern and this cavern just by walking.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
yeah.
So
But you're definitely not on an island, and you're definitely not in any of the on Agora.
So maybe having our wonderful engineer at some point in time make more comfortable beds, because yes, that ferry ride back from Linking In is bad, but we've got to make this trek twice a day, and I don't think any of us live in the Pellet District except for Toma. So
So,
maybe that like little bunk area wasn't such a bad idea.
And like not just a chemical shower, maybe a real shower.
yeah.
Like I'm real
Like hot
thankful
water.
we're not.
That would be
Yeah.
great.
I'm real thankful we're not in the desert where Kareth brought the lizard back from, but it's not much better.
Yeah.
As far as going home every day.
And people very rarely talk about the Disney commute, and it can be pretty harsh.
I'll be giving everybody their own water and a few like snack kind of ration things, because I think everybody should carry their own water. It shouldn't be my job.
Yeah.
And if you want more water, you can filter it yourself, because I have to carry the water for cooking as well as my own consumption. So I'm not carrying everybody's stuff.
Where's Alamnot's detailed map, or was that just of Agora?
That was just there was an Agura one, and there's one in there's the general main cavern. There's not really any maps that I'm aware of for the side
where
cavern.
we are.
Yeah, I was just thinking.
Literally
I know
off
that.
The map, eh?
Yeah, there's one that's like, because there's everything we see in Uru, I know is Agora in the island, and then there's the city proper on the wall, and then we're off way the hell. So
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, you're in a side cavern industrial
I'm
district.
not walking home every night. That's not happening.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
there are Nexus places available. The Nexuses haven't gotten out to all the neighborhoods yet. It's all part of the it's in process. So and the new communicator systems are being distributed and that sort of thing. So you do have a basic Nexus network.
Okay.
We haven't gotten that firmware update. They don't work for us.
Well, we presumably got out here somewhere, so we may actually. That's actually a thought. V, question on that. In Uru, we used our keys to access the network, but I don't know if that's what all Dunny citizens did at the time, because they were rolling it out. Is it possible that since the keys and communicator systems were still being rolled out, but there still needed to be a mass transit network, is it possible that there were just Nexus cards at the time that didn't still have the full communications aspect of the keys, but were tokens that just let you access the Nexus, maybe dependent on your guild rank?
I'm thinking that the distribution would probably be based on the keys themselves, among the communicators themselves. So because there is a network of tunnels and ferries and elevators and all that sort of thing across. It's not like there's no way to get across Denny reasonably, and so that's been in place for thousands of years.
Right.
So they would probably just focus on just the communicator functions themselves.
Okay.
Yeah,
and I'm picturing all these guild masters on segways, they get to the stairs.
No, they're squeeways. They're just
oh my god. It's just the
miniature chariots.
Yeah,
well, they don't know anything about squeeze though. It was Riku's.
Yeah.
That's true.
Little hordes of Rikus towing people around.
Okay, and with that image in mind, there's another knock at the door. Much less, thundering.
Well, Landris is still gonna check his fingers for ink stains, because linking book, and walk over and.
So there's a very young looking uh, messenger's cadet. Very young looking guy with a cadet uniform for the messengers, and he says, "Hi, I've been ordered to uh, take you to the guildmaster for a discussion about your missions."
Guess
Guess
we're
we're
gonna get to
going.
try these things out.
All of
So
us?
Landris just looks back, just
Yeah,
like,
I was told that everyone should come meet Guildmaster Devlin for a meeting about your assigned duties. Devlin is the Guild of Writers guildmaster whose idea who sponsored this particular um, mission and whose brainchild it was.
Mm,
Okay, so we're meeting the writer's one, not the maintainer.
Yes,
right.
the one who
Okay.
actually likes the idea
Okay, good.
because it was his idea.
okay.
Mashawan makes a little bit of effort to clean up before heading out then.
Yeah.
And Landris is going to grab that linking book and put it in a little satchel. And yes.
So Leo's gonna put down her tool bags and tug, because you're not gonna need them for a meeting, and tug her uniform in place and then shuffle.
Tome kind of throws a tarp over her little like sleeping nook so it's not obvious that someone's actually been living here.
Okay. Actually, Tome, give me a quick notice roll.
Ooh, all right. And roll. My notice is +1, and I have rolled 2.
Oh.
So that comes out to 3.
3. So you definitely do notice that when you come into the area, the cadet definitely gives you the once over with his eyes. Definitely is like he's definitely recognized you from somewhere.
Darn it. Okay.
But he's just
Hmm.
I can direct you to the location. I was told to take you myself to the location. So let me know when you're ready.
Toma has kind of like a hooded cloak that she wears. It's like very nicely tailored, but by now it's gotten very dirty. And she kind of pulls up her hood and kind of turns her face away a little bit.
Sure. Okay. Anybody else doing anything to get ready, or are we off to our meeting?
Yeah, Landris is just assuming that somebody from the Guild of Maintainers is going to show up at the meeting too and be like, all right, it's time to go, and shove us off. Like,
Right.
so
Make
he's
sure we
making
lock
sure
the
he's
door
got the linking
nicely.
book. He's got the linking book. He's got a couple of rations. He's got his little water bottle. He is set. He is ready for
The water
anything like
bottle.
posed.
Feels
Got
like
a
I'm
fanny
not carrying
pack.
50 pounds of crap to this meeting.
Okay,
It's
so
not.
the cadet leads you, up and out of the industrial district, take over to one of the ferries, and it's a long sort of over to Agira and into the Jateri district, which is the high class, top of the line mucky mucks sort of thing. Leads you past all the really fancy Denis homes and mansions and that
Celia
sort
has
of
never
thing.
been here in her life.
Landris
She
is
is
just
looking
keeping his
around
head
very
down.
wide-eyed. Oh,
Yeah.
Celia is definitely like doing the visible tourist.
Occasionally, someone will walk by, very find obviously some sort of high guild person. They'll kind of sort of thing. Like the rabble are in our area. Yeah.
And they'll be like, hey.
She will wave at anyone with surveyor's colors. She's friendly. Just gonna wave salute.
Yeah.
Kenneth is not impressed by any of this. It's like,
Now,
I
Landris is
could
very.
go home and like skip this meeting because meetings are boring. But whatever.
But it leads you to a pretty nice house, with Guild of Writers, symbols, in the trim and that sort of thing like that, and it's like this is Guildmaster Devlin's home. He said he would be waiting for you in his den. and he goes in, knocks on the door. A servant comes up. So, like, I don't know. It's like, okay, this way, please. And he leads you into the home, which is not quite opulent, because nothing in Denis is quite opulent. Uh, but it's definitely everything's very high quality. Everything's very neat and nice places, that sort of things. Leads you uh, into a room where there's um, a kind of tall, thin, uh, somewhat older. Um, well, I mean, okay, let me rephrase that. So a little bit older than all of you. Um, and Denis in high level Denis Guild of Writers uniform. He's sort of lounging on a chair in front of a writing desk. And there's he's got the equivalent of a Denis roaring fire, which is a kind of a setup with a lot of fire marbles, that sort of thing. And the fire marbles kind of fade in and out, like in interesting patterns and that sort of thing like that. Uh, he looks over and is like, "Oh, Audrey, good job, good job." Um, so yeah, why don't you ask Kenna on the way out for a little bit of an extra amount to your usual payment? I appreciate the quick work. Andrew's like, yes, yes, sir, yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. And scurries on out. It's like, and so this is Grandmaster Devlin, obviously, and he says, it's like, well, good to see you. I've heard that you've had a visit from our friend Talon in the maintainers. He kind of looks over you, like, you are a larger group than I expected.
We
Should
acquired an intern.
should Tomei be actively making any sort of stealth or deceive check right now?
Are you attempting to hide it anyway, like your identity, etc.?
Do you know whether she would know Devlin?
She wouldn't know Devlin. She's heard the name, because
Yeah.
Your character probably would have heard the name of a lot of the high kind of mucky mucks in various guilds, but you've never met Devlin personally.
All right. I think she's still pretty uncomfortable here and is kind of looking around with a little bit of disgust and a little bit of fear.
Okay.
And um, anything extra that she can do beyond pulling that hood up, she is going to be doing to not make direct eye contact.
Give me a stealth check then.
Yeah, I'm going to do that. Okay, so I rolled a 2. Actually,
Wow.
Yeah,
2.
not bad.
And
You don't have to show, by the way, unless you really
all
want
right.
to.
Yeah, but that was a nice roll.
Yeah, it was.
It is.
Yeah, that's what to be proud of right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just needed to show it off.
Oh, there you go.
So 2 plus
Perfectly fine.
3 for stealth, so it's a 5.
So that's a
So I
5?
think, yeah.
Okay. So yeah, you
Like
seem to,
extra person, what?
yeah. Well, I mean, obviously, but you definitely kind of you were there without, and you were kind of being nondescript without being obviously nondescript. So you feel that you kind of got this. He's not going to worry much about you. So he says,
Yeah, there's like clearly some of us like Landris and Sully are probably, standing up at attention, doing the excited puppy vibrating.
Yeah.
And then compared to that, there's, the teenage intern probably like hair falling across face, looking down at the floor, and like, which of those are you going to look at? You're probably
exactly.
going to look at the two that look like they're going to explode.
Yeah. So he's
So
Devlin.
when they do, you get to enjoy it.
Exactly. Like, yes. Like, oh, an intern. What a good idea. That's important. It's good to see that you're taking initiative here. Having a support staff is important. I'm glad to see that you're thinking out of the box. So I wanted to ask, How has how have the maintainers uh, equipped you and treated you so far?
So at this point, Mashavin glances over and says, "Not great. I mean, these communicators, you can tell that they're from like 100 years ago and that they haven't been well kept, and just goes on and on and on about the communicators."
Devlin nods, like, yeah,
Edris is
wow.
visibly uncomfortable.
But then Mashavin, holds up the one that he put together, and the one of the ones that was provided, and says, "See, this one I put together from spare parts, and you can obviously tell it's better than the ones that they gave us."
So, Guildsman Landris, what about the other materials that were provided? As a maintainer, do you feel that they're supporting our effort?
Master Tellin is wise beyond his years and has outfitted us the way he best deems necessary to test our true potential and ensure the success of this endeavor.
Solia looks at him.
That well, huh? Good to know.
He is trying so hard to just not screw this up, not get anybody in trouble.
I'm quite aware that there are many of my compatriots amongst and associates amongst the guilds who are not. They do not expect quite much from this effort. I am confident that you'll be able to provide a counter example to their assumptions. There are a lot of things that a maintainer only team would ignore during uh, during a check of a new age, and I think that we're Denise the worse for such single-mindedness. And so I am looking for you four, excuse me, five. Will you be obtaining more interns in the meantime?
It is undetermined as of yet.
Well, let's see how this one goes.
Good idea. Good idea. But I'm looking forward to you providing unique perspectives, and I hope that you will, go spend some extra time on thinking in ways that are innovative and in ways that are unexpected. This is sort of a social experiment in some ways, as well as an attempt to reform some of some of the issues that I see amongst our fellow guilds. Do any of you have any problems with this sort of approach? I'll take that as
Solia
no.
shakes her head.
I'll take that as no. I am especially wanting you to look for things that your average maintainer, survey crew, or group of surveyors would ignore. As a writer, I'd like to see some of the unexpected details documented more thoroughly. I know that you'll be getting your first set uh, of ages to explore. I don't know if you'll be given any instructions about order or process, but I'd like to show the naysayers that a little bit of innovation and a little bit of creativity can go a long way.
What type of thing do you think is commonly overlooked?
The great tree of possibilities is very complex. And while none of these ages that I'm aware of will be ones that I've written, um, we as our writers, we try to prune and shape those branches to our wishes. But as Yava knows, the tree is much more complex than any of us can conceive of. Um, and so we find we find unexpected details everywhere. I don't know if I have a specific detail to look for, but please be aware for things that seem out of place, possibly problems in writing or evidence of other things that might be unexpected. We plant strange seeds into the world, into our worlds, and I'd like to see if they produce strange fruit as well.
And you think that a traditional group of maintainers would just be looking for the basics of, is this safe?
Mm-hmm.
Are there is anyone going to die if they link in, and not look for
Now, all those things are important, obviously.
consequences or...
Yeah, and no, I don't think I diminish your guild at all. The surveyors, when they come to an age, are classically very detailed, but I think that there are many things which I've seen too many unexpected things come up from an age, even by the best writers, and so I'm really looking for you to probe the unknown in these ages.
Theory is often different from reality.
In theory, theory is not different from reality at all. But in practice, theory rarely matches.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you think that there are any other things that you're going to require in terms of equipment or information?
Suppose
No?
that depends on the ages.
Fair enough. If you do find that Master Talon's support is not as complete as you'd like, please let me know. I may send young Adri there over to you on a regular basis to check in. We do want this effort to succeed, even if others do not.
Mm. Thanks for this opportunity.
Sure.
You will have our best.
We
Absolutely.
appreciate it, Guildmaster.
I expect great things. Viovis thinks I'm a fool, but I expect surprising and great things from this particular process. So, thank you. I have other things I must attend to now, but if you do need anything, do send a message. So he gets back, sets up in his seat, and turns around off. Pulls out the quill, starts writing. Obviously, I'm done now.
We're dismissed.
Yeah.
And
And when the servant comes, it's like, yes.
and we follow, I assume.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they pick you up to to the street and just like
There you go.
All right. So you're sitting in the middle of the Cherry district. You guys gonna head home? Do you have things that you want to do?
Dangerous finally breathes.
I don't want to miss the shipment of books. Like, we don't know when
Yeah.
they're coming.
Yeah.
So we should get back.
I'm kind of myself. I'm like, are they just gonna like leave them in the hallway?
Yeah,
Will
that
they
would,
just leave and not drop them off?
that would be pretty bad.
Mhm.
So you guys are
Like, both
hurrying
of those
back.
things would suck. So
Bold of you to assume we have a hallway.
We should probably hurry back.
Yeah.
Definitely
Okay, so you hurry back. When you get there, you actually see that there's a number of other boxes that have been left on the table. The table where they put the first box has been cleared.
didn't we lock the door?
So Landers immediately panics because they didn't lock the door. Was his first thought. It's like, crap.
I
Or
thought Celia did.
this is a maintainer's office that they gave to us. They presumably also have a key to our office.
Probably, yes. So,
He's
Probably.
too dumb to think about that.
Or
He's
they
just like,
do their
"Ah!"
lock.
Is there like, is it maintainer stuff in the boxes? Is it anything decent? What's in the boxes?
the boxes are actually secured, uh, and have a device on them that looks like the key symbol.
Hmm.
Kid.
What happens if we open them? How do we open them?
If only we had key devices.
Yeah, it's only had key devices.
What happens if we hold up our not keys to them?
Oh, you get the little wow, the little light thing going, and it
Mhm.
your clunk, clunk, as it unlocks your key, your D's. Do unlock the devices.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, inside are books, linking books. And one of the boxes is actually what looks like a set of 5 linking books to a what looks like a maintainer facility. As you look through,
Okay.
Laundress, you would recognize this as one of the maintainer areas where that away missions often return to. It's sort of a safe area that can be locked down if needed. But
Right.
Quarantine
a
facility.
quarantine facility, yeah,
So-
it's a standard place where missions return to, and there are 5 and they're
Right.
identical.
The Landers would put on whatever clothes. I mean, a modern equivalent would be like white gloves,
Mhm.
for like document examinations. Whatever the equivalent is that we have that's close to that.
Sure.
He's going to put on that as he kind of pulls out the books and sort of sets them very cautiously and like going through them one at a. Anybody else is welcome to just step in and be like, "Come on, man, you're going too slow."
Can I run
Like, because he's
a
just like page by page.
Can I run a dumb science experiment on the locking box while he's doing that?
Sure.
So one of our Ds opened the box.
Mhm.
I'm assuming it was one of the 4 of us. Probably Landers opened the box.
Sure.
Would make sense.
Sure.
So let me call Mashavan over and have him try to lock the box again with his. Does it
Right.
lock?
Yeah. Click,
So
click.
all of ours were presumably registered to it because ours were intended to be there.
Mhm.
So if we call over Toma, who you built hers,
I did.
so I wonder if the boxes were registered just to the 4 given to us or hers. So if we call over Toma and try to have her unlock the box, GM, what happens?
Surprisingly, it locks the box and unlocks it.
Cool. Okay.
So,
like anybody with a D can open these things. It's like
I was
a
gonna-
fancy lock that keeps
So-
nobody out.
I'm gonna say
Well-
so. Go ahead.
Anyone with a D registered to our group
Yeah.
because we
Okay.
created the group.
Mhm.
I'm just testing security because you had that cabinet that you were worried about for the
Mhm,
blank
that's-
books for being jimmied, and I was thinking that if we could verify that only our group could open it, we could transfer the linking books there. That's why I was running an experiment.
We were having the exact same thought, and out of character, kind of thinking like, "Hey, maybe our engineer could make it so it's more secure."
Definitely.
And attach it to that little case with all the other. Landris in character, no clue. He's like,
So Celia takes the box away from him after he's taken the books out and then carries it over to Mashavan and starts running these experiments.
Mhm.
Chris may never even notice.
oh no, he's probably still on the first book when you do like it's still full of books because he's just one at a time, white gloves, just page by page.
Can I open a different box and see what's in it?
Yeah. So
No, wait.
this one actually has 5 books that are different. With different, there's instead of being the identical set, and these seem to be the actual linking books. They are labeled. And the names are. Let me pull up my list.
Are on a different tab.
Yeah, the names are on a different tab. Yeah.
They're in a different box. You got to find that one.
There's one called Heller, and this is it looks like some sort of desert.
Eh.
There's
Boring.
Yeah. There's a very rocky area one called Unai, and it's like rocky in terms of like a rocky mountain, like you're in sort of a ravine. Um, and let's see here. Uh, there's one. God, I forget the Dini name for this now. It's called. It's the Dini translation for the phrase "lost hopes."
That
And
sounds awesome.
yeah, and it's got a very like jungle look to it. Lush jungle, that sort of thing. Um, there's one called Kellen, and this is a very pristine tropical beach area. Um, and then there's one called Ishna. And Ishna is a another desert area, except while Heller seems to be sort of like stretches of dunes. This is a very sort of Minkata looking desert, with lots of scraggly things and scraggly plants and that sort of thing. So there's no other documentation provided in either of these boxes.
Of course not. It'd be too easy.
Are there any other boxes or just those two?
There is a third box, and it is more along the lines of just it's not locked, and it has more supplies. Some that like some things that might be a little bit more attuned to some of these environments.
Okay.
Extra bottles for that. So he's like, oh, I need this in the desert, and some some things from the heat that are marked with the Guild of Healers symbol for like essentially like the Guild of Healers Denis version of a snakebite kit.
Okay,
That
so
sort of
like
thing.
here's a venomous animals treatment kit. Here might be extra strength sunscreen. Here
Yeah.
might be lightweight woven cloaks to keep out the beating sun.
Yeah.
If we're going somewhere that's really
There's not a
bright.
huge amount in there. There's small things, but they definitely seem to be targeted.
But like foldable ponchos don't take up
Yeah.
much space, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm thinking
Yeah.
a foldable
Yeah.
sun and rain
But there's
poncho.
no like
like they're
yeah, there's no like big devices or anything like that.
Okay.
We should get a team symbol and put them on the
There you
ponchos.
go. It does seem
perhaps
to
it
be
could
really
look like that
relatively
thing,
good.
like right there.
The quality of these particular goods seem to be actually much better than the stuff that you got earlier.
I wonder if we got them not from maintainers.
So okay.
Well,
So
likely.
there are no instructions. There's no details in terms of nothing to tell you what should be done. It's just here's your stuff.
so where are we gonna go first?
So Landris is still like observing this one book over here. Like he might be a quarter of the way through it at this point. Something he would do, like if we took enough time, like going through the individual 5 ones, because like I said, he's going through like page by page by page, make sure like no pages are going through like this, dummy's guide to before you link to a world. Like, are there any missing pages? Did somebody like one line and initial a bunch of passages from like that kind of stuff, right? So, but when going through, like, if there's enough time, he'd probably go through the linking books for the actual ages. And would he be able to, if there's enough time, like copy down some of the phrases into the back of his thing from the individual linking books there, so that while we're there, he might be able to do something within the age itself.
Well, let's see here. That sounds like a great thing for a research role.
All right.
That does.
Such a great skill of mine.
Yeah, a whole plus one, yeah.
A whole plus one. No, that's a dead on 0 right there.
Oh, hey, doke. So, a dead on 0 is far away from the 5 that you'd probably need to pull this off.
Nope.
Because you are not a writer.
No, most certainly not.
I mean, you could, if you really wanted to, see if there's something that you could, some sort of aspect you could pull, and you could invoke with a fate point. You could come up with some sort of cost for success, if you like.
Right. And
It would probably have to be a
ultimately,
pretty significant cost.
right. Yeah, because ultimately what he's trying to figure out is like the survival guide has the dummies equivalent to do this. He's trying to add to what's in the back there and like categorize. So
Unless,
100%. And then he's
This
not a
might be
writer.
the
yeah,
He's
this
just like,
might
go ahead.
I was gonna say this might be the kind of thing that he doesn't do immediately, but
Yeah.
maybe we go inspect one of these, but it's a project he works on in downtime in
yeah,
between.
there you go.
Right. Yeah, because 100% like he's focused on the one book, right? He might be at this book and everybody's like, no, Landris, it's time to go.
Yeah,
Like it is time to link out, buddy. Like
He's gonna
I
pick
think
up
this
his
Celia
pen
is
and
but
gonna
this
take
go
is
a
one of
over and
those like
there we go.
yeah.
tap
Like
him.
this is
Solved.
yeah, this is definitely one of those like just based off of like the survival guide and stuff like being able to create some other linking books in the age we're going to
Mhm.
might be useful. So at some point in time might be something he kind of delves more into. But again, like, yeah, he's spending hours. Like he would spend hours at one book, just like
Yeah.
comparing back and forth. Like I made one to Dunny. This one also goes to Dunny. How bad did I screw this up? Kind of a thing. And yes, and of course, are there any missing pages? Like
Now they all look good. There's nothing that
yeah.
looks particularly suspect about the books themselves. None of your writers, they wouldn't be able to tell about like the writing itself, but
Yeah.
they,
Oh,
all the
Guild of
pages seem to be
Maintainers
there.
sabotage is the important thing.
They've got maintainer marks on the little stamps on the first page, just so that to show that someone has gone in at least and not died.
Yeah.
Um,
And
but um, so it's about halfway
Okay.
through. Do people want a quick 5-minute break?
Um, yeah, we could do that.
Yes,
think that would be
bio
good.
break. Make sure you hydrate, that sort of thing.
I have to fill
Okay,
my glass
so
of water.
we'll be back in 5 minutes.
Woot woot.
Okay. wait, there we go. Hey everybody, we're back. Thanks for waiting up. And now we're gonna move on. And so you've got your books there. You've got a choice of from 5 books. You've got your books linking back. Um, what's the plan?
Every time we have a choice of books like this, I think that Tome is going to open up each one and spend a while kind of gazing moodily into each of the linking panels just to see if any of the imagery feels familiar to her, because she has this suspicion that she comes from somewhere else and she has these half remembered images in her mind. So she could invoke an aspect here to see whether any of these ages gives her a positive feeling. I don't know how you want to handle that.
I'll actually give you a choice on this one. If you just I gave basic descriptions on the 5 ones. If one of them seems kind of cool to you and you want to have some sort of feeling like you've been there before, you can spend a fate point to declare, and we'll roll with it.
Okay. I don't know if I'm ready to definitively declare that any of these ages is
Sure.
the age.
Well, I might even say it would be an age that seems familiar to you for some reason.
Okay.
And that's up to
So,
you.
like, even if you haven't been from that age, if you pick one of the 2 deserts, then that narrows down that maybe Tome was from a desert. Or if you pick the jungle, maybe you were from a jungle.
Could be.
That makes sense.
It'll be familiar for some reason, yes.
Or we can all sit down and then I'm looking forward to sitting down and having a debate about where we're going.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I
let the
say
debate
fuck the
begin.
desert ages and we'll play Keek over the rest.
Meanwhile,
Well-
Landris is still in the corner.
Eventually,
Page
we're
by
going to have to
page.
do a desert age. Do you want to get them out the way first, or do you want to do something fun first, and then a desert age, and then something fun, and then a desert age, and then something fun?
Well, who's to say that jungles or anything for that matter are fun?
Especially when it's called what? Lost Hopes? I think that was the name of the age.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's an ominous first. Let's not do that first.
Maybe we should pick one that's not too strenuous.
TPK. TPK
Like one
day
that-
1. Never
I-
a good thing.
One where there
I-
might be water and stuff so that we can make sure we have all our gear that we need.
I already forgot its name, but the one that looked kind of rocky and kind of like a ravine sounded,
Unai? Is that it?
yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? It's not as harsh as a desert. And it's not as maybe dramatically overheated and challenging an environment as a jungle.
Yeah.
It's
That's
Sounds
the
kind of like
least
Voltaic.
recommendation.
Yeah, like to
So
make
that
sure
could
we
be
have
fun.
all our gear that we need, it'd be better to start with something that's not too crazy.
Maybe moderate.
Sure.
That seems acceptable.
Woo.
Okie doke. And so you've chosen Unai. I'm going to assume basic safety precautions and that sort of thing. Is there anything beyond the basic sort of things that you want to do to prepare?
As
Besides packing tool bags and
You
all
got
of
your
the.
tool bags, the things that you would normally take. The things. You don't have
So
to
I
detail every single little thing. But
Yeah.
special things.
I would definitely like to bring both the linking, but like the one for the maintainers, ready team, or the return point for the guild of maintainers,
Mhm.
and the one for here, just in case we don't get done with everything, and then we're like, hey, we should probably sleep. We can come here first
Mhm.
without being like, hey, not actually
go
done.
quarantine.
Sorry. We'll see you in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
We should probably lock the door or like
So
maybe barricade it or something.
I was gonna
so
say,
that
I had a-
nobody comes in and mucks with the open book that we have to leave behind.
right. So I had a
Uh,
thought about that. Mr. Engineer.
oh boy, oh boy,
Um,
oh boy.
in addition to experimenting with the key to make it so we can lock our linking books better, maybe you could experiment with one of these locks, take it off of the box, and lock our dang door better. Obviously, Landris can't say this in character because still book, but somebody
It's
can
not
have
fun.
this idea.
I was actually thinking about that already.
Oh, good.
So yeah, I'm gonna, since we apparently don't need to lock the the boxes anymore.
I would keep
Oh.
one on a box so that we can move the. Actually, on that note, Celia goes over and pokes Landris. Hey, Landris. Landris.
Is
Yes, sorry. I'm trying to figure out if you and Toma swapped in the position of the call there. Sorry.
It's okay.
No, it's okay. Yes.
So
yes.
So Celia says, I did some testing with the locked box that the writer's books came in, and they unlock to our communicators. So I was thinking that in addition to securing our writer's books in one of them, we should secure those blank books that you have in this cabinet. She points at the cabinet in the other box, because then rather than locking by a physical key, they can lock by communicator.
So Landris is thinking this through. Now, the box that the books were in, because we don't just have the linking books, we have the ink and we have the quills as well. Is there going to be a way to jerry-rig said box so that we don't just have a massive disaster of ink spilling over the books because somebody bumped the box funny one
Well,
day?
that's a point. Is it a
Books,
very narrow
definitely.
box that only fits the books, or is it a bigger box that just happens to have some books piled in it?
You probably wouldn't be able to put too much more than a few more books, than maybe 6 or 7 books in these boxes. I mean, obviously they're built for transporting, linking books of some sort. They're set to accompany the various different sizes, but it's not huge. You probably would have
So-
more. You probably have
I've-
more get more thing with taking the locks off and attaching them to something.
Mhm.
So Go
Paraffin
ahead.
to seal the ink bottle with.
that would work. So as a follow-up, so the linking books that we get versus the blank ones we have, are we talking like the average thickness like that or are we talking like the thinner ribbon style, maybe 30 pages?
Yeah, we're talking
Like how?
the
Okay,
There's
so-
the thin ones.
So these are pretty small boxes.
Mhm.
Yeah, they're relatively small boxes. Yeah.
Okay. So looking at that, he would probably was he
And,
afraid?
don't get too lost in the details. I mean, if you have an idea of like, I want a cool cabinet where everything fits, and I want the lock on it, then yeah, you guys have the technical know-how to put that
Okay.
thing together.
So we can
Landers mainly just wants to make sure they don't get stolen
Yeah.
because
Okay.
Mhm.
that's another thing that looks really bad. For
So
him.
let's just go with we retrofit a cabinet to store
Yeah.
all of our books
Yeah,
and
and if
inks and lock it up.
only kind of half understanding what she's saying, or it's a okay, is
So
Solia-
so
okay. Only half understanding what she's saying. He's going to kind of take off the D or take it off of his name wherever he's kind of had it,
Mhm.
and assume that these are here, so it's his key that was needed. So he sort of takes it and hands it to her. Like, yes.
So basically, Celia and Musavan have free reign to do whatever they
Yeah.
want.
Woohoo,
Yeah.
This will be fun.
So waha,
So,
you have Landris's D now.
all right,
So-
so
You
you're
know
going to
what's
be building
great?
this thing.
He's back to his book.
Who's actually going to be setting up the security on this?
Do you have intrusion?
I do, in fact.
What do you have it at?
2.
Okay, yours is better than mine. So go ahead and
Alright.
roll.
That makes no guarantees as
Oh,
far as my
crap.
skill at rolling.
Well,
I was gonna say,
we'll do with it. I mean, you're doing a lot of engineering here. Do you guys want to like work on this together? Like,
Yeah.
Like one of
I
you
was
could
gonna
roll
say-
engineering and one of you could roll intrusion or some other somebody else. Some other configuration of people might be able to with
I finesse.
engineering being the primary thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
because
I
Landris has a. Oh, go ahead.
Both intrusion and finesse.
Yeah, because Landris has intrusion at a +3.
So one of
But-
you could create an aspect of something like expert support or high extra support or what's the word I'm thinking of? You could create something like deft assistant create an aspect on a roll, and then that could also be tagged and with possibly with a free invoke. You could pass that
Mhm.
free invoke to Mashavin, who can then maybe use that make an even better roll.
Okay.
So this is sort of a way that you can kind of control your environment and then help each other out, is to create aspects that will help you out and then pass those free invokes you might get on your rolls around so that you can kind of stack them up.
Mm-hmm.
Since you'll be doing the engineering for the cabinet, how about I do the intrusion, create an advantage?
Sure.
Oh, sounds good. Go for it.
Okay, so I have a +1 to that, and I rolled. Okay, I rolled a flat 0, so I only have a +1 on create advantage.
That's not going to be quite enough to put
Yeah.
together a useful advantage for this. You would have to invoke an aspect to put together an advantage or re-roll. I don't know if you want to try to do that or.
Yeah, let me think. What's the best one? What about invoking bright-eyed and bushy-tailed?
Yeah, I'll let you have it on this one because
Because
you're
that's
really excited about it.
Yeah, excited, energetic, and sure, I had a setback, but you know what? That just makes me more bright-eyed and determined to do it again.
Sure. That may not
So let
work
me take.
all the time, but since this is your first mission and you're like, yes, yeah. Okay,
All
so
right.
you will spend a fate point.
Yep.
Okie doke. And do you want the +2 or the reroll?
The +2 to make that a +3.
Okie doke. So that gives you a solid success on that one. And what you get is you get an aspect of deft assistant, or a security-minded assistant with a free invoke on it.
Okay.
And we can then go with the main roll then.
All right. Main roll for designing an awesome cabinet. So my engineering is 4, and I got a -2 on my rolls. So that gives me a 2 total.
You have a free invoke. Because of the passing of the invoke from the deft assistant, you can use that to a reroll or plus. You could save it and invoke one of your other aspects.
I think were you going to add something?
I was just saying, because we also have to, like, this is for the cabinet, right? We
Yeah.
also need something for our door.
Right.
Because,
we'll have
like,
this for,
right? Or
we'll
is,
have
or is
this
it both?
for
Okay.
security in general.
Okay. Mostly I'm just concerned about somebody coming in and picking up the linking book after we go
Yeah.
through it. And
we
then
don't
doing
have to make
something to it.
several different things. We'll make this roll, and mostly we're making the roll because I want, if any time in the future somebody is trying to get in, I want a value to assess their difficulty.
Okay. Yeah.
So I'm going to use the free invoke to re-roll and say that Mashavin is designing this great cabinet, well built, well designed, and so Leah points out, here are 5 ways you could get into it.
There's a hole right there. I mean, really.
I can put my arms through.
Some of them small hands.
You're right that it's going to work with the locking system we've designed, but have you considered the fact that I could slip a credit card through it?
Right. Exactly. All right. So with the re-roll, that is a straight 0. So with my engineering, that is a +4.
I mean, you can put together with that. I mean, it's not a particularly difficult thing. It would require. I was thinking of the difficulty of this as good at 3, so that's kind of you can definitely put the stuff together. It's not your best work,
Of course,
but it should be sufficient.
Do I want to make it better?
Yeah, that's a question. You would have to do some.
Yeah.
We would have to get some invokes in there somehow.
Yeah.
So, well, I was gonna say. So, is this something where somebody else could assist him?
I'd let you,
Yeah, could we?
since it's
Well,
already started, I would say that you can spend a fate point to get
that's
in
what I
on
was
it.
gonna say. Yeah, that's what
Yeah,
that's
could
what I was
we
gonna
reach
say.
out and
Because
ask other people to come look at our work?
well, yeah, because that was where I was going. Because I don't have engineering really. Like I've got intrusion that might work. I've got research that might work.
Mhm.
But I was gonna say like with the driven with a new youthful naivete, he's sitting here. He really wants to make this work. Like he wants us all to shine. Like this is his chance. So hearing the clatter that is disturbing him from his book, he may kind of like come over and take a look and maybe point out. I don't know. He could use intrusion to maybe point out a few things that could be improved. He could use research to maybe come up with the, hey, I don't know anything about this, but have you tried turning it off and on again?
Yeah.
Kind of a
So,
thing.
go ahead. It'll take you, cost you a fate point to get in on it, since we've already started the rolls and such.
Yeah.
If you're willing to spend that, then just go ahead, choose your skill and make the roll, and we'll get it figured out from there.
Okay, so yeah, I'll do intrusion because it's the better of the two because
Go
it's a
for it.
+3.
And it makes
So-
sense with what we've been doing. We're trying to
Yeah.
stop intrusion.
Yeah.
So
That's okay. So that's a +1 for a total of +4.
A +4. Okay, so yeah, you can. Once again, the difficulty is sort of good here, so you do get
Yeah.
a success at a 1, which is enough to essentially add another free invoke to the deft assistant. We'll make it deft assistance, and so you get another free invoke that you can pass along.
I'll give that to our engineer. It's like,
You can,
hey,
yeah, and if you want to just
like, here's
add that to
here's
the
this
top.
part here. Like I know like
Does spring
it's not
belong here?
the best cabinet. I know it's not the best cabinet, and I know there's not a whole lot. But what if you tried like an anchor bar that wrapped around, kind of, and then,
What about it?
there's too many cooks in the kitchen, kind of at this point.
Mhm.
Yeah, but I mean, I think that can move it from, say, a success at a 1 to a success at a 3, which makes it
Yeah.
a good security system as opposed to
Yeah.
Yeah.
inadequate.
I think that is a good idea. So
Okay, there
That's
we go.
take
great.
that second invoke for a +2.
Okay, there we go. And so we have a good security system. I'm gonna write that down.
Woohoo!
and the best part is that we can always revise this over time.
Yeah.
Maybe
Mhm.
after we're done with our first stage, we'll even find materials or tools there and we'll come back and redesign something.
Yep.
Yeah, lots of options.
Can I ask a question that's related to security here?
Sure.
When we now have these linking books that take us directly into this basement. And when we are exploring an age and then use those books to come back here, canonically, we do leave those books behind, correct? I don't understand how Reltho books work and come with you, but most books
Magic.
Yisha magic.
Yeah, pretty much magic.
Yeah. Don't think about it too hard.
Right. So if we were to be exploring an inhabited age, then we would be giving anyone basically a key right into our home base.
Mhm.
Yep.
Even if our front door were locked.
And
Yep.
that's why you have why a lot of the return books are the smaller books. They're more disposable.
Mhm.
And the idea that the standard maintainer thing to do is at this point would be to set up something like the interesting of putting the book over something over like a fire or over a chasm or something, and linking that way so that the last person out destroys the linking book and shuts the door behind them.
That
Right.
worked great for Atris, though.
Yeah,
Right.
of course.
But that's why the maintainers link to the garrison, like,
Mhm.
security spaces, so that if a native does follow us,
Right.
they wind up in jail,
Right.
quarantine jail.
Yeah. I think the linking book back here to our little basement is more of the contingency, in case we want to go back without anybody else knowing.
Mhm.
So, and we can find a better, either, just a disposable fire,
Also, it
water,
could just
whatever.
we could send 1 or 2 of us back. The rest of the team is still
Right.
there, and we're like, oh crap, I forgot my paprika.
Yeah.
Right. That
Go
was
back.
that was the thing I was going to say. If we need to get specialty tools, we could send 1 or 2 people back, in which case the book is still in possession of the team members who don't leave. So the book does not remain a security risk.
Or we should probably just take 1 of those books with us, not like 1 for every person.
Andrus only created
Yeah.
1. So we have 5 of the quarantine maintainer books and only 1 of the ones back home.
Yes. And
we have a security system.
Yeah.
Yes.
Quick, I
Now,
noticed that there were
so-
some audio issues. People can't hear me as well. What's this? Can people in the chat tell me what this level is for you? I may have to turn my mic up a bit, or just speak up. Okay, so yeah, there's something going on with my mic a little bit.
Okay.
So just a moment.
I think we can hear you just fine.
Yeah, it may be coming. That looks like it's coming through a little bit better on the levels. So we'll try this. So sorry for the interrupt there.
No, that's okay. So given some of the stuff that we've talked about and the fact that we link into the room and we've got this great security system now, I'm going to ask the stupid question of, did we put the lock on the outside of the door so we're locking ourselves in without a way out? Or did we put the lock on the inside of the door, basically barring people from getting in and bypassing our lock?
We definitely put it on the inside of the door.
Okay.
Yeah.
Whatever's
So-
common sense. I'm not gonna bang
Right.
too hard on this one.
So I'm just sitting here, I'm thinking about for both. Okay, so then we go to the quarantine zone, we finish our mission, and the door's locked and we can't get in. Oh heck! Or we link back in and now we can't leave and we're just stuck here.
So, for what it's worth, my kind of assumption especially with a key tied lock, is going to be that it's enough of a near field. I'm just guesstimating it's enough of a near field identification that if we have it on the door, you should be able to get through it from either side.
Yeah, you
Perfect.
shouldn't have any problems. I'm not gonna. I said I don't see.
You're not going to fuck us.
Yeah, I'm not gonna nail you on that one. I'll save that for later.
That would be epic.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah.
It's like one of those. It's like the walk-in freezers, though, right? Like they lock on the outside, but there's that emergency button on the inside so you can get out. I don't know. We have really huge walk-in freezers at work.
Yeah.
There you
All
go.
the sitcoms that were ruined by that emergency button. But, okay, so yeah, you got your security together. You've gotten your getting your stuff ready for your trip to this new age. Last details, like I said, last minute things for things that you want to bring that are special or anything like that. If not, we
Yes.
can roll on.
I have this resource. Before leaving on a mission, I can declare a personal aspect for the duration of the mission related to a tool
There you
that
go.
I want to bring. So I'm going to declare that I bring some sort of a device for climbing cliffs, like an ice pick, but fancier and made for rocks.
Oh, sure.
Yep,
We can
makes
just call it
sense.
special climbing gear.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okie doke. Let's see if I can do this correctly. We'll put. Oh, and it didn't
We
like
all
the cameras on
disappeared.
that one. There we go.
Mhm.
Yay!
I exist.
Woohoo! And thank you as we do technical issues here. Do. Dash. Here.
Very
Woohoo.
fancy.
Okay, there we go. Fancy schmancy. Okie doke. Any other
And then
last minute things?
so just Landris is bringing both of the one for here and the one for the quarantine zone, both the linking books.
Cool. Awesome. Okie doke. Alright, so who's going in first?
I'll go.
Alright,
Bright-eyed and bushy-tailed.
there you go. Okie doke.
I just imagine Landris sitting here like, okay, we gotta make sure it's a wow, like
It's like, who was that?
That is literally how silly it is.
And now that I know that Landris is like this, I'm just gonna like in the middle of the night make random linking book noises just,
Wow.
just to mess with him a little bit.
Okay,
Great.
so Thalia goes through.
Oh.
Okie doke. You leak on through, the usual, you'll fade out, fade in sort of thing. And You're in the middle of a rocky ravine. The air smells a little weird, but every new age does. Each age has its own smell, just so you know.
Hmm.
Um, but you can breathe fine. There's nothing, that sort of thing like that. Who's coming in next? Oh,
So
there we go.
Landris is panicked now. He's just
Kenneth
like,
goes in.
did she bring a linking book? Like,
Kenneth goes through.
Who got that?
Who's next?
I'll go next.
Okay.
And Mishavan is not completely sure about this, but I guess we're doing this thing.
And the last one. The last people. Who's next?
Comments.
So-
I'll go through them.
So Landris is just like.
Sorry, Landris.
Everybody's like.
he's rapidly throwing the linking books in, making sure he's got the water and the rat, just watching people disappear into a book. Like,
Okay, so you go ahead and
Poor guy.
Landris leaks through. So yeah, you're in this ravine. You're in it's a rocky ravine. There's not a lot of vegetation. The stone is very gray. The dirt's very gray. It sort of almost looks like you look at the inside of a quarry, but it's obviously natural. But it's got that sort of gray, you know, you know, earth, granite look to it. The ravine goes behind you, and kind of goes off into a higher area of land. There's a ways in front of you. You can see the ravine. There's a wall to the ravine that sort of cuts off to the left. And then also the ravine continues further on. So there's a little like up and up. There's a little sort of like side ravine there. Um, it's you'd probably guess something equivalent to early evening here. So there is light, but you can kind of see that it's starting to get a little twilightish. Nothing that you can't take a good look at though. You haven't lost enough light to work. Um, Okie doke. What are you guys doing next?
Toma is sort of a climber. I think she might try to kind of scramble up some of the rocks at the side of the ravine, if that's doable, just to get more of a lay of the land.
Sure. While you're doing that, what are some of the other people doing?
Oh,
Mishavan is gonna kind of look around the area, see what there is to see if there's anything any mechanical, anything artificial, that sort of thing.
Okay. How about Laundress? What's Laundress doing?
Landris is speechless. He's just sitting here like, gesturing like the person climbing the wall, like, you don't even have safety gear. Like, that's my job. I'm supposed to go up there without the safety gear and set the rope. Like, he's losing his mind. Like, this was supposed to be special. What is everybody doing?
Okay.
Terrible tourists that are just like running around.
we have ruined Landris's dreams in approximately 30 seconds.
Yep.
Okay. What's Kenneth doing?
If she looks up and sees that it's twilightish, she's actually going to be looking for a spot to make camp. She would totally trot off in the direction of the little offshoot there to see if maybe there's like an overhang that would be a good spot to set up everybody under.
And what is Thalia doing?
So you said it was it's a dry rocky ravine, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Because that would be her first concern, is we don't want there to be accidental like flooding in the middle of the night or something like that. So she's going to see which direction other people are going first. Toma up the wall, Kenneth that way. And then start walking down the path of the ravine away from them in a very measured walking cadence.
Okay,
with her notebook out because she's just going to go a few hundred paces.
sure. So we're going to do an
As you
investigation
can
scene,
see.
which pretty much means that you choose one of your skills, and you're going to roll, and you're going to earn a number of questions that you can ask about the area.
Mm.
You know, like questions that give you more information than you might get by just looking around. So everybody needs to choose a skill that they're going to be using. Let's start with Celia. What skill are you using?
Surveying.
Surveying, obviously. And Kenneth.
I don't have a lot. I guess notice would make the most sense.
Sure.
It's not my best skill, but I
Okay.
don't think I can apply craft or athletics to this. So.
Okay. What about Mashavan?
Shavan is going to use notice.
Notice. And Toma.
She is adequate at surveying, so she's going to survey.
Hey, and finally Landers.
Landris is sitting here losing his mind. He's going to use his survival to like double check if there's like edible plants.
Cool.
What we're about to. Apparently, we're going to camp here, so we should at least be able to survive the night.
Cool. Okay, everybody, make a roll. Add your skill and tell me what you got. The difficulty on this is good 3, so shouldn't be that bad.
I got a 3.
I got a -3. Things are not good in Kenneth.
Oh.
Ooh.
Not only did she not notice, like she probably fell off a cliff.
Okay, so Kenneth is over there. What about what was Toma? What did you get?
Just a 1.
Is that your success? Your total was a 1?
My total was a 1.
Okay, so you're not gonna be able to get any things off of that. Landris?
So counting my +2, Landris got a 3.
Got a 3. Okay. Mashavan?
Got a 6.
So okay. So
Oh.
off of good, that's going to be a 3 then. Nice. That's also you have excelled on the roll.
Oh, how exciting.
So what this means is that you get a free option for a hint, which you can essentially pretty much the hint is where you say, "Tell me something that's important." You don't have to use it if you don't want to, and if you don't use it by the end of the scene, I'll give you you get a fate point for it. But if you do use it, I give you a hint. So keep thinking about that.
Right.
And Celia.
I actually also got a 6.
Oh, there you go.
Ooh.
Same thing. So, let's see here.
+2 and +4.
And what was yours, Laundress, again? I apologize.
3.
3? Okay, so Laundress, you get 1 question. Mashavan, you get 3 and plus the optional hint. So you get 3 and the 3 questions and the optional hint. Kenneth and Toma, do you want to spend fate points and invoke any aspects? No, it's fine. If you're not, it's just like okay.
Unfortunately, I don't see any aspects that I can really twist to my advantage.
Fair
in
enough.
This way. She is from the Guild of Caterers, after all. It's not like they're a bunch of adventurers. She thinks she is.
What about Toma?
You know what? I'll invoke an aspect. I haven't spent any fate points, and I have my mysterious origins aspect. So I'm going to say that Tome is looking on just a little bit extra hard. She's really invested in what she finds, and so.
Are you saying that you said mysterious?
Mysterious origin.
Okay, so that means that this relates somehow to your mysterious origins.
It means that her approach to surveying here is inspired by this kind of personal quest that she's on.
Okie doke. Oh hey. Okay, so you spend a fate point on that, and we get to that, and that'll change that to a 2. And it's not having little technical issues, but we'll worry about that in a sec. Okay,
It's
so
okay.
you have 2.
I have a 2 now instead of Toma.
Yeah,
I
you-
hit the wrong one. So,
That's all right. It's like I don't need any Fate points.
There we go.
Such a good roller.
Yeah.
Word.
Okie doke. So do you want the +2 then, or do you want the reroll?
Let's see. I think I'll just take the +2.
Okie doke. So, and you got a 0. What was it?
I got a 1.
3.
You got a 1, so
Okay,
that'll
3.
give you a
So
3.
you get 1 question because it's a tie.
All right.
Okay. So, and we can go through the scene, and you can use these questions as you like. You can bounce things off of each other, that sort of thing. So, Kenneth's headed towards, headed forward. Salia's headed back. Laundress is looking around. Tomei is going up the side of the cliff. It's not a hard climb, so we don't have to worry about rolling about that. And Mishavin's checking out the area as well. So, do you have any questions or other actions you're going to do? Or
I have a question.
sure.
Does it look like there has been any living thing through the area recently?
Through the area recently, yes. You can find traces of boot prints. Actually,
People.
yeah, actually people. There's obviously not, a lot of them. But there are a couple, yes.
And I'm not gonna follow this trail of boot prints and run into Celia, am I?
No. Boot prints that don't belong to people who are here.
I was gonna say, like, are these like? Well, I don't know if that would use my question or not. Never mind.
Like, which direction are they going?
They don't.
I don't
there are a
think
couple
V
of
would
boot
be
prints
that.
in several directions.
Okay.
So yeah, so it's sort of like people have been around, but there's not like a trail.
Okay.
Okie doke. We got a couple other questions out there. By the way, Tomei, when you get to the top, you can see that the ravines. It's sort of a network of ravines that kind of go off into different directions. And into various hills and that sort of stuff. There's rocky hills kind of in all directions, and you can see bigger mountains in the distance.
Like a maze?
It's not really well because it's sort of maze-like, you might think, but So okay, so that's kind of what you see. Celia, you're checking out more things down that ravine area. So more chances for questions and actions.
As I'm going down that way, does anything like change in the terrain? Does it like seem like it's getting any shallower and the walls any flatter? Does it seem to be pretty?
There isn't a huge amount of change there. I mean, is there a specific thing that you're looking for? Like,
Yeah, what I'm kind of looking for is, remember how I said I was concerned about the possibility that there might at some point be a water flood? So, for example, if it rained, there was a flash flood. So, one of the things Celia is checking for is safety. So, if it feels like as she's walking, does it feel like where I'm descending down into a ravine where it's, if it feels like I'm maybe descending downwards and the ravine is getting broader and flatter, or if it looks like on the sides of the walls, if it looks like, how rock levels, you can see where there have been water levels of prior events. So she's looking for anything like that might indicate that there might be an environmental hazard to look for.
There's no evidence of previous like flash flooding in that thing. You don't see watermarks as such. However, you do see evidence that that rocks have been shifted recently in a sort of haphazard way.
Okay.
Kind of all one direction. But there's no evidence of water issues or like that. So you have 2 questions. Mishaven has 2 questions. We've got 1 question with Tomei and 1 question with Landris.
So we're apparently camping.
Theme.
Yeah, we're definitely going to be here overnight in the age. And yes, we have rations and that kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
And
a caterer.
However, if we're staying one night, logic would probably track as he's sitting here going through because he's neurotic about all this. It's his first time in an age. He's like going through. He's losing his mind because nobody's paying attention. And so the only thing on his mind right now is like, we got to survive. We got maybe a couple meals worth of rations.
Mhm.
Is there anything like in local flora or stuff like easily harvestable things that are definitely A, edible, or B, safe to eat? Excuse me, yeah, edible and non-toxic.
There isn't much in the way of flora and fauna at all. It's sort of a blasted, barren landscape. There's nothing that seems particularly toxic in the area, from what you can tell. I mean, you're not a chemist.
Oh no, I'm more talking like the poisonous berries, that kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Not like not that kind of toxic. Not yeah.
There's
The great job, writers. This
like,
age is awesome.
There's nothing that's obviously dangerous that you can tell in terms of there's not much flora fauna anyways, but there's no weird smells from any of the rocks, that sort of thing. No weird chemical smells, things that you might associate with dangerous materials or chemicals.
So we'll just starve to death and not get killed by something hostile.
We have eating bugs. Chill, Andres.
So we got a couple more questions out there. Do you guys want to use them, or you want to save them for the moment? Or
I'll use the question from my vantage, where I see all of these interconnected ravines. Do I see any sort of regions that stand out from the rest, that look in any way differentiated or inhabited, or is it just kind of a repeating pattern?
In general, there's a repeating pattern. Which it's a natural pattern. It's not like something that looks like it's been there's some sort of unnatural pattern to it. The branch up to the left that Kenneth is headed for, it goes a bit, and then it sort of it looks like there's been some sort of landslide over there, where the sides have sort of caved in. So it's an unusual depression, like I said, like the sides of the ravine had sort of caved in and kind of dipped down. That's the only thing that looks particularly out of the ordinary.
Okay, I'll try to catch up with Kenneth to go investigate that and,
Sure.
and alert her to what I noticed.
Sure. So Leah, what you do to?
So you mentioned those rocks having been moved haphazardly. So my second question is going to be, is there anything interesting I can find out about the way those rocks were moved? Does it look like they were moved naturally, or does it look like this was the work of people or animals? Because I know that like some animals will move rocks. Beavers will make dams out of trees and rocks. We also know that people will move things.
The way these weren't like purposefully moved, like someone picked them up and moved them over. They're kind of strewn as if how to put it, as if they had like rolled down from a height or something like that. Something knocked them off. A bunch of rocks had been knocked off the ravine, the walls of the ravine.
Okay.
So yeah, something at some point had knocked a bunch of rocks off the walls of the ravine down to the bottom.
Okay.
Bashavin, you've got a couple questions.
And I haven't figured out a way to use them yet.
Okay, you can save them until later.
I think I will for now.
Okay, doke. So, Toma and Kenneth are headed towards that corner. Tome scrambles down the rocks to Kenneth. And are you guys gonna mention anything to her, or are you just gonna follow her?
Yeah, hey Kenneth, I think you're onto something here. I noticed a bit of a cave-in up ahead, so we should probably be careful. But I want to check out the landslide and see what might have happened over there.
Okay, cool.
Can I tag along?
Yeah.
Is anyone else going with them?
It's a party, but probably not the best place to set up camp, which is unfortunate.
I would like to go with them, but keeping an eye out for any more evidence of boot prints and other evidence of human activity.
Sure, absolutely. And I know that Celia is kind of going off in her own direction. Is Laundress going to stay busy, checking things out? What
Andrews
Chad
is
might
like
pinpoint?
he's watching one group walk that way, another person walking that way. He's gonna stay kind of in the center so he can kind of keep an eye on both, just to like make sure nobody suffers a rocks fall, everybody dies situation.
Yeah, no one
Because
likes that.
yes, like there's lots of rocks.
Oh, what's a
He
fallen?
doesn't know anything. Like this is clearly a death trap, and everybody is just losing their minds, and there's nothing to eat. We're all gonna starve,
We're all gonna die.
and we're deciding to camp here because that's a good idea. So he's making sure nobody dies, because if somebody dies on his first ever mission with this group, he's done. He's like, nope, there is no coming back from this one. Like, this is just, I might as well just go and hang up my maintainer robe and just throw everything away and let my family disown me. So he's not letting anybody die. He's just,
There we go. Okay.
We are just here to ruin your life.
Yeah. Okay. So the main group goes and you turn into the ravine there, and down the way you can definitely see there's definitely been a huge landslide where it looks like both walls of the ravine have sort of collapsed inward.
Weird.
And it's sort of it's just like they both like decided to just fall on top of each other and it blocks the ravine completely. So
That's
doing?
weird. I don't want to climb over it when it's almost nighttime. Like
it's a good ways. I mean, you have to. It'll be a few minutes to walk down to where it is, where it starts.
But what could have caused that to happen?
Right. So I want that to be my next question. Is there something odd about, like, can I tell what happened here?
Oh, actually, you take a look at it for a bit, and you look at it, and you're looking at the walls, and there is a little bit of discoloring. It's a little darker, and you would think that there was an explosion here.
Oh.
That something exploded, dislodged the walls, and it all fell in on each other.
That is exciting.
So there you go.
Something exploded, huh?
Mm-hmm. And by the way,
you tell Landris.
Could I do a quick notice check to see if there's anything buried under the rubble?
Sure. Let's do a quick one.
All right. That's a 0. So I don't think I noticed very much. Actually, that's a negative one. Never mind.
You and me.
Maybe not. Okay.
Notice queens.
So, I mean, yeah, there's just a lot. There's a lot of rubble. I mean, could there be something under there? Yeah.
Do you see?
Maybe they were.
No.
You would have to dig a lot, though.
Maybe they were mining or something. Maybe there's an accident, or like maybe there's mines and we're just like not stepping on them.
That's reassuring.
Landra said there's probably mines and he should stay still so we can go and have fun.
Are people looking like they're about to recklessly climb stuff again? Like, is that what's happening here?
They've actually moved out of line of your line of sight because they've gone down the ravine branch.
Oh, you're having a little heart attack there.
Oh, he's just like, okay,
for what it's worth.
Did you bring him back to breathe into?
Yeah, right. Clearly, he needs one of those as like a item in the future.
Build a maintainer's badge on the end.
Yeah. We'll give it to him as his new emergency equipment. So Celia's gonna have gone 500 paces, and then turn around.
Okay.
And got back to Landris.
Okay. Yeah, you still have a question like waiting too as well.
That makes sense.
And both you and Shavin, since you excelled at your discover rolls, do have that hint kind of floating around if you need Okay, go ahead. Kenneth, Tome, Mashavin, you're looking around. What are you doing? Is Kenneth gonna start like establishing camp? Or...
Yeah, like if there's no better place to set up. I don't love that it looks like the walls fall in willy-nilly. Like I would rather
Well,
be like
Well,
I'm
not
like
not
we could be
willy-nilly
like
per
up
se.
top
Yeah, I mean,
and like
have
away from the edges. Like I don't love that we're at the bottom of something.
yeah.
Like that's
How
not
much
cool.
has
Oh,
Mishavan passed on?
So I do want to pass on that, I saw evidence of people, and the walls don't just fall in willy-nilly, they fall in very violently.
Right.
That's so
Okay,
much
so
better.
That's the quote of the night.
I don't think we
Right.
should build a fire tonight if we can help it.
Are we sure
We
we
don't
want
want to draw attention to ourselves. Like if there's other people here, we probably want to keep it on the DL.
That seems good,
So,
yes.
yeah. So I assume Landris and Solia are walking
That's
up now.
that is what I was gonna say.
Okay.
Okay.
Solia would have told Landris, "Hey, I went 500 paces that direction. I did not see any evidence that we're at risk of a flash flood. I did see that some rocks tumbled in, and then we'll probably rejoin the other group
Okay.
where we hear that.
So
info."
he's doing the equivalent of the thank Yavo for small miracles.
Good, we won't die in a flood.
She's
Okay,
going to
so-
be
At
like,
least there's
in my
that."
defense, the Surveyors Guild training is walk 500 paces in one cardinal direction.
Right.
Note down what you find, go back to the center, walk 500 paces in the next cardinal direction.
Mhm.
Note down what you find, return.
Yeah.
So she's like, I'm following protocol.
Yeah. So
doing
he
my
appreciates that.
job.
It's somehow
A protocol.
oddly calming.
It's not your protocol, but it's a protocol.
It's oddly calming still. So,
Oh, so what? Landris and Celia catch up to the group, and
yeah.
and Kenneth's starting to put together,
It's-
together a relatively, starting to establish a sort of a camp area.
Yeah.
What
Is
else? What? Okay. Tome, what are you doing?
I think Tome is going to start sketching out the pathways that everyone's been following, just to have some documentation of this, both
Sure.
both from her own observations. Maybe she's just asking around and asking people to
Mhm.
fill in some of the
Sounds
details.
good.
Because that's what we're going to want to start doing is
Yeah.
get
Mhm.
maps of all of the ravine chunks we've explored so far. So Leah's going to ask Mishavan about if he has any more details on the signs of habitation.
Doesn't seem like it, just
Just-
a few boot prints here and there.
And
And of
explosion.
course the
And this
explosions.
Right.
so okay.
And Toma, you didn't see any like obvious visible structures, like any large buildings when you were up there.
No, it's pretty barren and inscrutable. This was really the only thing that I could find. This explosion over here. Yeah.
Okay.
What if a bunch of maintainers just came here ahead of time and like blew something up just to mess with us?
I say Landris, after hearing explosion and seeing Kenneth like setting up camp next to the very obvious like death zone, like it's just
Well,
like,
the rocks are already at the bottom. At least they aren't gonna crush
Right.
us.
so
They're
he's,
not gonna
he's, just,
fall
he's, just,
apart.
he's just gonna sit there. He's gonna process for a second. He's gonna say, maybe it would be better if we set up camp at the top where things can't fall on top of us.
And we've got to climb up there in the dimming light.
I can handle that. He's just, he's gonna kind of say like he can set up like a ladder or a pulley or something like that. Basically, out of character, they set the anchor point kind of like it's one of the things I'm trained to do. We can make it so you can all get up there safely. We don't have to be in the murder hole. We can be on top.
On top of the
You know what?
hole. We can jump into it anytime we like.
Mhm.
You know what?
He's
If we're not building a fire and
Yeah.
setting up a bunch of stuff, then it probably wouldn't take too long to move camp if we needed to, right?
Mm-mm.
So if it would make Landris feel better, what if Landris went ahead and set the anchor point and he and Celia and Toma, if she wants to go, or if she'd rather stay and sketch, that's fine, popped up there to take a quick look, because out of character, Celia's still got one more question to ask and a hint. And in character, Celia is a trained surveyor, so may spot something interesting from up top. So there's no reason why they couldn't go see what they could see before all the lights gone, to see if
Yeah.
on top of the rock slide might not be a better place to set camp.
Sounds good.
I think so.
Mishaven will
They-
help.
The
set
people
up
could have
camp.
been in the ravine for a reason. Maybe it's to like avoid being eaten by giant death birds or something.
Right. So that's why
Murder
we
hole, death bird. Which you have
Look
choices,
into-
Andrew just wants to go home. Like, okay, we did it. The EV suit's good. Nobody's gonna die. Evaluation done.
Okay, so Celia and who else was gonna go do the climb up?
Well, so
Landris and Tome?
I was gonna say I was gonna try to do the set the anchor point to like make a ladder or something to help get them up.
Oh yeah, no
'Cause
problem.
we've got a lot of gear. I don't really want to
Yeah.
climb loose cobbles. With
Well,
a
and that's
70
yeah,
pound
that's
No problem.
yeah, like yeah, ladder, pulley, however we're gonna get everything up. That's what the set the anchor point's for. So.
There you go. You know, you can decide how Denis it's going to be, because if it's going to be Denis, it'll be like a complex set of pulleys with all sorts of levers and stuff.
Yep.
Well, so
and
this
counterweight.
is yeah, this is literally the initial part of it. So like, so obviously somebody who's better at engineering or
Mhm.
crafting or something else can make it much more ornate. This is very function above form. So it's going to be very basic with like your regular just rope and pulley, you know, kind of obviously stone because we don't use wood in Dunny.
Mhm.
But you know, like yeah, that kind of like
Wood.
rungs for like a rope ladder kind of a thing, and
Yeah.
you know,
makes sense.
some kind of like bucket device attached to the pulley to like
Sounds
Things
great. Okay,
up.
yeah. No problem getting that all set up, and you guys can get up to the top. So
Okay.
you've set your anchor points, all good. And who's staying down? Who's going up?
I'm gonna stay down and help Kenneth set up camp in a very methodical,
Or
organized
maybe-
fashion.
Or else we're breaking camp. We don't know.
You'll be helping
Um,
Kenneth
what-
just get ready for whatever happens. How about that?
Yeah, like we're
Right.
standing there. It's like, are we setting up these tents or are we not? Like pick
You're
one.
talking about the crazy man who just went up the cliff. So
Or like pick one. Just top or bottom, doesn't matter. Let's just get it done. So she's waiting
Okay.
because she's assuming
Okay,
everyone's just gonna come
The
back
people
down.
who get up onto the cliff, what are you doing?
So Leah's gonna make a survey roll to see what she can see from the top of the cliff.
You have a question available still. Do you want to use that one, or do you want to get more questions?
Well, okay, what can I actually visually see from up here before I ask the question?
So you remember how I explained it? I described it to Tome.
Yep, you
Pretty
said
much
that there
that's, I mean,
was.
that's what you can see. You know, the light is
Okay.
going down, so there's a lot more shadows. And definitely the landslide does look, very much out of place.
Mhm.
It is kind
Excuse
of
me.
circular. I mean, you can kind of see like like how the hole is sort of, like it was a circle that took out the sides. So that definitely fits with the whole. There was an explosion that happened, and then that caused
Okay.
things to, it dislodged things off the sides, and then everything else slid back down in after the explosion.
Okay. So I guess I'll use my question to say from up here,
Mhm.
on the surface, in the spaces between ravines,
Mhm.
does it look like there's a space close by? Because keep in mind, I do have survival at +2, so
Mhm.
I have a pretty good survival score, and I'm assuming that means that Celia has, surveyor trained experience on what a good campsite looks like.
Mhm.
With my question, do I see something on top that looks like it would be a better campsite?
I'm not going to make you spend a question on that, because that's just
Oh, okay.
general application of your skill. And finding a
Okay.
good campsite's not going to be a hard problem. You're not in
Okay.
any real current danger that you can tell.
Mhm.
The walls don't look like they're going to crumble down on you. You don't see any evidence of geological instability, anything like that.
Sure,
So
but there
you
might
guys are gonna
be
be
a
safe.
copse of trees, a little bit of fresh water, or
Sure,
something
I mean,
that looks like a good windbreak or cliff. So,
sure. Let's say there is. You can
Okay.
find it, no problem. I'm not going to make you. That's what you do. So I'm not going to
Mhm.
make you spend your question on that.
okay, so I do see something that's better up here than down there, or
Okay.
You can find there is a a sort of you can see a wall of one of the ravines that has sort of an natural kind of alcove in it. It looks relatively stable, from where you can see, so it's got cover, that sort of thing. It looks stable. It looks large enough to, handle a few people, that sort of thing.
How far away is it?
Oh, it's not far. It'll probably be a, maybe 20-minute walk or, climb or such. You can
Okay.
make it in 20 minutes. 5 people who may not be as, may or may not be as adept as you.
Okay. So I'm going to point it out to Landris and Toma
Mhm.
and say, hey, look at that. That looks like a real great place to set up camp. Would one of you mind going down and telling Ken and Mashaban that? We should head off to there.
So, oh man.
Sounds. Is Landros gonna go do that, or?
Well, see, that's what I'm trying to figure out because, like, he's got a +1 to empathy, but people think he's crazy. So, I'm trying to figure out if he would be able to rationalize actually that maybe somebody else should go.
I have
I'm
a
sorry, I
feeling that
spoke to
yelling
Twinkie
Lots
into
of
a
doesn't
ravine
want
and I
might
keep
be
staring
bad.
Well, like Landris would go, but I'm trying to figure out if he's like intelligent and like I'm trying to go with that, like he's coming to grips with the reality that he's not as smart as he believes he is. Trying to figure out if that plays into just like I may have rubbed some of these people the wrong way by acting like a crazy person. Maybe I should send somebody else. Like I'm trying to figure out if maybe he's just like, yeah,
much,
maybe.
honestly. I think you'll be good.
All right, yeah, he's gonna shimmy on down and be like, "We found a better one. It's safe. No exploding rocks. It's over that way. If you have issues, I can carry the equipment. That way, you don't have to."
Okay, there's a lot of equipment. Let's just get her done.
So
Time's
Yeah.
wasted.
Okay, so who's going to this new location? Is everybody just moving over, or are other people doing other things? I think. Do you still have a question left, Mashavan?
I do.
Mhm.
So, and once we're up on top, before I head off to the new campsite, I want to look down into the explosion.
Mhm.
And can I tell if this was, look from this new perspective, can I tell if this was like from the top going in, from the bottom going out? What can I tell about the detonation?
It seems like it must have happened from the bottom, because it looks like it like
Okay.
things kind of it exploded out, and it created it essentially created landslides by disrupting all of the the stone and such around, and then which then collapsed in. If it were higher up, there would be more of a sort of explosive dispersal.
Yeah.
Obviously rocks probably went, but yeah, it definitely was towards the bottom of the ravine where the explosion happened. Huh?
Did it expose anything? Or is that the end of my question?
You don't see anything at the moment. You would have to do more. You'd have to check more to see it in more details.
Right, and in the fading light, that probably doesn't seem like a good idea.
Yeah.
One does need good light for observation.
Yeah. All right. So once again, so you're checking who's going to the new spot first.
I'd assume that you guys would have waited for us to come up with all the gear, or because you probably didn't do the initial climb with your packs on. Like you probably
that makes sense.
Like leave them there. Everybody goes up. The people who go up and go, yeah, send the gear, and then we'd attach the gear, pull the pulley, and then you'd take the gear off, send it back down, and then we'd all shoulder all our own packs because they're going to be heavy, and carry them together, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. Seems good.
Okay.
I would assume.
So just everybody's headed over there. Okay. So it is kind of a it is sort of an alcove. It's a little bit. It's not at the bottom of the ravine. It's a little bit up, but you can kind of scramble up to it. It's pretty big. It's not quite a cave, but kind of close. You can see on the walls that there are veins of various minerals, very clearly visible. So obviously some sort of natural resources. Um, and there are small you know openings in the rock, like as if that there is open spaces somewhere into the ravine itself. I mean, into the wall of the ravine itself. They're natural. It's not like someone carved or something like that. But there's more places behind there that you could probably stick your hand into and that sort of thing.
Right, stick hand into the mysterious hole
Yeah,
in a
exactly.
strange world.
Please don't stick your hand to the mysterious hole.
We should probably make sure nothing else is living in here.
I was gonna say,
before we,
like, can we check for?
settle
Yeah, can we check for like scat
Yeah.
or?
in.
Or bones.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't look like you don't see signs of fauna and that sort of thing like that.
Okay.
It looks relatively undisturbed.
Okay.
Probably it's far enough from the exploded area that it wasn't really affected much.
Hmm.
Do
So,
we have any fire marbles that we could roll down into one of those holes?
sure.
Just all right. So I choose a intriguing looking crack in the rock and roll a fire marble down it. Do I see anything?
It dunk, 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 and it rolls, and you can see it kind of roll down into the darkness. So it goes there. This particular hole goes down quite a far ways, and it kind of like you see it like turn a corner or something like that. So it goes out of direct vision.
Did we just lose a fire marble? Like,
Yeah,
maybe
we
we
lost
should have put a leash on that.
And the light fades, so obviously it's gone down far enough that it's not, or it's turned another corner so that the light's not getting back
Well,
up
that's
to you.
kind of cool. We should have made it like a little macrame
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
tie. And
Well, no,
But
I'm
yeah,
also
but there definitely
Nick.
is.
We can
there
craft
definitely
this
are
tonight.
channels or something that it in amongst the rock.
Mm.
but it all looks very naturally formed.
Yeah.
It doesn't. Okay.
And remember, Celia, you still do have a question. So, what you guys are setting camp? Anything else?
Yep.
Yeah. And I'm hoping it doesn't get too cold.
Oh. Are you just
but I
settling
don't
down for
like
the night, or are you
there's,
guys
like-
going to do anything specific?
Because like we could try to build a reflector fire, but like we don't want to leave too much evidence of us being here necessarily. If we don't want to disturb the locals.
dumb out of character question. What's a reflector fire?
Oh, a reflector fire is basically you build your fire, but then you have like a large rock or a pile of logs to the
Okay.
one side, and it reflects the heat back onto you, but also it would be good for keeping the light from like just shining out.
Okay.
Just it
Mhm.
kind of
There
shine
you go.
back. It would still illuminate the inside of the cave, so everybody would be able to see us. So it wouldn't be great.
Okay.
But
Unless we
yeah,
went further down the tunnel, but.
I
yeah,
don't know that there's
yeah,
that far
let's
to
just
go.
go down to the bottom of the tunnel. Let's follow.
We gotta
The
find that
tunnels
fire
themselves
marble.
are not quite.
Follow the fire.
The more tunnel-like aspects are small, so you're not.
They're
I mean, you
small.
can get into
Yeah,
it.
there's just that. There's no way out of the back of the cave. There's just
Yeah.
these tunnel
Yeah.
things that appear natural and
Yeah.
minerals.
Actually, when you get the fire started and that sort of thing, some of the veins in the walls do sparkle a little bit, so there's some metallic elements into them, or mica or something.
Ooh.
Oh,
Or
that's
something
pretty
like
cool.
mica. So yeah, it's kind of pretty. But yeah, and occasionally you'll get like a reflection off one of them, and it'll kind of hit another wall sort of thing.
Okay.
So are you guys just settling down and gonna hunker
Yeah.
down for the night and then start the next day?
Yeah.
or
Yeah. Everybody is safe. Nobody is going to die.
Nobody's gonna die right
We're
now.
in a good
As
camp.
far as we all know.
Landris is going to journal.
It seems like a good place. So Lee is going to start maybe going over with Toma the mapping of where we've been so far.
Okie doke.
Yep.
Great.
Okie doke. And we are almost at time anyway, so this is a good time to start our wind down.
Mhm.
So we'll have a bit of time where after this, where everybody goes to sleep and that sort of thing. And this will be a minor milestone since it's the end of a session. And you can look at the book to see what sort of things you want to do for your minor milestone. We'll start off the next session. We'll talk about just briefly go over the things that you want to do. We'll figure the details out between sessions, but we'll just announce them. Whether if you've changed anything in your aspects or whatever like that. This is all, since it's the first session. Also, you have the option of, if you think you want to tune your aspects a little bit more towards something, this is the time to do it.
Okay.
And we will look at anything, other little details and that sort of things at the beginning of the next session. So
Sounds great.
yeah. So
Yay!
and I do like to keep communication open, and I want people to, as an example of that, communication is important to an unwritten game. So closing thoughts for the game, things you liked, things you didn't.
Does chat have questions?
Yeah,
Good
that
question.
too.
Is there anything from the chat that asks questions? Y'all out there? There's a little bit of a delay, so I don't know how long
Yeah.
before they'll hear that. But
I had fun.
you had fun?
I had fun.
I
Yeah.
had a
love
lot
your
of fun.
character.
Yeah, this is great.
I say I
You're
don't
not
I don't
fun person. That's just so
Yeah.
great.
well I don't get to play near as often, and it was like coming in, I had no idea what Landris was going to play like, but I love that he's just this neurotic little ball of anxiety. Just
I'm
I love
so
it.
sorry
love it.
that I'm going to Leroy into everything.
But there.
Oh no, I love it. I love it. It's great.
Like, did you see my character sheet? Like, she
Mhm.
literally
yeah.
has bright-eyed, bushy-tailed
Yep.
as an
Oh, yeah.
aspect. He is going to go.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
Anything that
I love it.
And my character is very amused. Kenneth's very amused by Landris, and she is gonna prank him. I'm sorry.
Oh no, you are fine.
It's
I
too
love it.
good. It's like
Oh, and I love it.
I can't help but like poke him a little bit. Just
There's a
poor
cat.
guy.
We've all met a Landris, I think, at
Mhm.
some point.
Faro, Alana, what do you think? I know everybody else got a chance to put in some comments.
I think that I'm gonna have to figure out a little bit more about Mashavan to role play him better, rather than just generic engineer.
Sure.
Um,
Well, that's part of the role play you get to hang on.
Yep, exactly. And this is really fun.
Sure.
I am already intrigued by this new age.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like
Alana?
that we get an inhabited age first out. I was not
Yeah.
expecting that. Honestly, I was expecting a practice run without people.
No, it's straight into the deep end.
Sure, but I just want to give Alana a chance if you have a comment that you want to add.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun. I'm already eager for. I almost wish there were a next time on Strange Seeds. Like, I want to know what's next. I thought this was a
Yeah,
really
where's the preview trailer?
Maybe I'll work on something, like at least an announcement or something of a bit,
Ooh.
Yeah.
in between.
But I enjoyed how varied the session was. It seemed like each of our characters had a chance to plug in some way or other. I'm definitely also still figuring out how to play my character. I was expecting Tomei to be a little bit more kind of like rebellious, a little bit more of a punk, but I think I'm realizing that like she's just desperate to find like people who will take her in and a place where she can stay. And so that side of her is coming out more.
Good.
That she's trying to make herself likable. So I'm interested in exploring a little bit more kind of how she relates to people.
Sure, and like I said, we have a month between games, so it is a while.
boy.
Wow, it's a while.
It is.
So you definitely have a lot of time to think about where you want to be with your character, different things. If you want to adjust your character sheets, I'm thinking that once we get kind of a little bit more definitive character sheets, I may put them up somewhere that people can see them online.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
And if you have other ideas, like I said, we'll doing the minor milestone, and I think that's it for now.
Yeah.
Anybody want to have some final words or comments? Final words, comments, words of
Just
wisdom.
echoing what Alana's saying. Wish there was a preview.
Yeah. Never camp out near the exploding murder rocks.
Yes, there we go. Better words of wisdom I have not heard.
Is somebody like writing down these wonderful quotable quotes?
I
I'm
hope
gonna
so.
have to start like I've chronicled some of my prior tabletops where I've had a quotes document for in character and out of character quotes. Oh no, come back here. And that I might have to keep that for this game too.
Sure.
That
Yeah.
would be great.
And some
Yeah.
of these things we can post up for people to see as well.
Yeah.
hmm
Mhm.
Oh, you got. Oh,
You're
check
muted,
out those
Alana.
notes. Check
Good
out
for
those
you.
notes.
Yeah.
Oh,
Awesome.
that's a nice. I think actually Ellery has one that's very much like that. So that's
You're
pretty
muted,
awesome.
Yeah.
Alana.
And let's get another look at Thomas's book there that he put
Oh.
together.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is
There you go.
hard
There
to
you
kind
go.
of see with the green screen. There we
Yeah.
go. But it's got the little Guild of Maintainers symbol. It has an actual like linking panel.
There you go. Check that out.
Oh,
Very nice.
I might. Nope, not without getting the whole book gone. There we go.
Cool.
But, yeah,
That's the
that'll
problem with
be.
the green screens.
Hmm?
When I have to.
That's the
update
problem with
Yeah.
the green screens.
Well, it's supposed to chroma complete green, but as soon as I get a little further out, it likes to kind of do the blue a little bit too.
Yeah.
So the limits of technology.
Mhm.
I'm gonna put in a last call for questions in the chat, and if nobody's got any other questions, we will close up.
Thanks a bunch for doing this.
Oh,
Thanks,
no.
guys.
Thank you all
Yes.
for being a part
Good
of this,
job.
and
Yeah.
being a part of it.
Thanks for stopping by.
Um,
This book here.
Yeah.
So, fun
It's
fact.
shiny.
It is. I got it at Barnes and Noble because our antique bookstore that I normally get like books by the pound was closed because of what's going on in the world.
Right.
So this started life as a little fleur-de-lis right here, and I stripped it and then used a 2-inch miniature base for like Dungeons and Dragons or other stuff, and did the Guild of Maintainers seal on that, and then just did the Dunny script here, and these are just little $1-2 corner protectors that you can get at Michael's or anywhere else. So yeah, little fun little craft
That is
project that was
amazing.
done in about
It
a
is.
day. So yeah.
Yep. And Thomas does all sorts of stuff like that. So
Yes.
Yeah,
reminds
I
me-
think having a little Strange Sheets website where you could put the character sheets, pictures of the notebooks, things like that would be really cool.
That's a
That's a
good
good
idea.
idea.
I like that. I'll work
Yeah.
on that between now and the next session. I want to also make some last minute
Catch
things.
us on something
If
over.
you'd like this game, you can help support Inkworks on Patreon. You can see at the bottom of the screen there. It's patreon.com/unwrittenjourneys. It's not just for this, but for all the other things that we've been trying to do, which also includes the monthly podcast, Unwritten Voices, which we just started. And another one's coming out relatively soon. And we'll be talking more about things for new players, and we'll talk a bit more about the discovery system on that one. And in the future, we'll be doing things. We'll be doing some things on lore. We're hoping to have some interesting creators on as well, aka Thomas, to talk about the things that they do. And if you have ideas, then let us know. And once again, you can support us on Patreon, and you can support Cyan by going to the Cyan store. You can buy things there, including a copy of Unwritten if you don't have it yet. Physical copies, you'll have to go to TTRPG, but all the information is there.
Yeah. There we go.
There
it
you go.
There you go.
Yay. Physical
So,
copy.
and special thanks to Cyan for helping us out with these sort of things. We've been working with Cyan on these ideas and other things, and we hope to have a couple other more interesting things in the next session. Maybe possibly we'll be giving away some things in the next session.
Ooh.
So, but you'll see more as we get information as we get it. All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining, and Shora.
Good evening.
Sure.
Sure.
Good, everybody.
Bye.